Can you describe to me like what the process is of the Sichos?
I can't describe it. No. I don't know how to describe it.
Okay. If you can't, you can't.
I'll just give you one small word. A simple observation of zchus. Lahavdil elef avdolos. I'm saying. Let's imagine Albert Einstein came into a classroom of teenagers, and he threw a sentence, and that sentence is gelegen sein größter Chidushim in physics or whatever it was.
I'm Yossi Kamen. Welcome to Among Chassidim by Der Herr, an ongoing upbringing about life as a Chassid, our vibrant connection with the Rebbe, and inspired living shaped by the way he teaches us each and every day. Shalom Aleichem, Rabbi Altein, how are you?
I'm not a rabbi.
Mr.
Altein.
No smicha?
No.
Okay. Smicha without the certificate seems to be a lot worth a lot more, I guess.
What?
The smicha without the certificate seems to be a lot more.
I dropped out of yeshiva. I'm a dropout. A yeshiva dropout.
Okay. I'd love to hear about that. But let's start a little bit earlier. Before we get to you, I want to hear a little bit about your parents and also your Zayda, Rabbi Yisroel Jacobson. Maybe B'Kitzer Nimritz, you could tell us a little bit, tell the Semechaya of Rabbi Yisroel Jacobson. And I mean, I know we can talk for hours just about him, so maybe B'Kitzer.
You want to start with my parents? I'll start with my parents, okay. My father was born in America, Tofresh Ayin Tes. His parents came from Galicia, both his mother and his father. He was born on the Lower East Side. Then his parents moved to Brownsville. Stam interesting. He once told us that when he was a mamash a kleine kind, his father sent him to yeshiva. He went to elementary school to Chaim Berlin, which was in Brownsville, East New York. But he once told us that when he was mamash, the first time he went to yeshiva, to get to yeshiva, they had to take 2 buses and cross, a busy street. I don't know, was the Eastern Park. So the first time he had to go, his father took him. And he showed him which buses you have to take, which street you have to cross. The next day in the morning, he took him to the door, gay in yeshiva.
On his own. Okay, different world today.
Today they arrested the parents for child abuse.
Right.
Akaponim. So he went for elementary, he was in Chaim Berlin. And then later, from Mesivta, he went to Teda Vodas. This is already the tzaddiks. And the tzaddiks, my Zayd Oliver Sholem, Yisroel Jacobson, had a shir Tanya with Bochum from Teda Vodas, a kvutz of Bochum. So my father joined this group.
So your Zayda was he learned in Yeshiva in Lubavitch.
Okay, so you want to hear about my Zayda. B'Kitzer Nimitz. My Zayda was born in the middle of the Tofresh Nuns. When he was 11 years old, so the Cheder in his shtetl, he was already too advanced. He had to go to a yeshiva. Besides, in Cheder, he had a melamed. There was also someone who taught him and his sister limud languages. He taught him Ivrit, whatever. And my Zayda said he excelled in it. So when he had to go to yeshiva, there was a yeshiva in Russia. I forgot what the name was, Lid or something. It was a modern yeshiva that had Limudei Kodesh with Limudei Chel. So this teacher wanted my Zayda to go to that yeshiva. And he wrote him Mlotza, they should accept him. So my Zayda's father, he came from Chabad families, but he himself wasn't a Hesa Chassid. But he was a Nusach Hariyid, a big Talmud Chochem. He's my elder Zayda. but not, he wasn't a great chassid. Good. There was no active Lubavitches in his. He said maybe there was one or two, but he had no shaykhs to Lubavitch whatsoever.
In the shtetl.
In the shtetl. So he was on the train station. They were waiting for the train to go to the yeshiva in Lida. When they were standing on the train, say waiting, so a yid comes over to them. He sees they're waiting for that train. He tells them, "You're waiting to go to the yeshiva in Lida?" So they say yes. So he starts telling them when you get there. He tells them where they should, which part they should dorm in, which area. They shouldn't go to one section because in that section there can be bochum who on Shabbos smoke and learn Gemara. So that was the first room, Dr. Bilbul on Meichen, that they had. They were still on waiting. Good, so they're waiting, going to wait weiter. All of a sudden a yid comes over to them. He tells them, "You're waiting for the train to go to that yeshiva?" He says, "Ich bin am Snagid. Aber ob du willst, and he points to a shiksa, a halbnackete shiksa of the train station. Du willst dein Sohn Luis gucken an See, schick ihm dorten. Du willst dein Kind soll seine ehrliche Jid, schick ihm in Lubavitch." Das ist wenn der Maler von Himmel, was gebracht mein Seid in Lubavitch.
We don't know who it was.
They didn't know who was, no. Sag es, Mamisch von Himmel, a Maler von Himmel, ist gekommen, bringen mein Seid in Lubavitch. I say, so when they heard that, good, so go to Lubavitch. So they came, angekommen in Lubavitch. My Zayda was 11, 12 years old. He went into the Chadorim in Lubavitch. There was the yeshiva, but after the yeshiva, they started making Chadorim for kleinere Kinder. So he went to Pchinas and they accepted him. So he was in Lubavitch. I think this was about Samach Zayin or Samach Ches. I'm not sure which. I don't remember exactly which year. So he learned in the Chadorim. Then the Seder was just like now. There learned there was like Morristown, then 770. When I went to yeshiva, was Newark in 770. So Lubavitch was also like that. When you finished the Chadorim, you went to the feeder yeshiva, Shtedrin. You stayed there for a year and a half, then you went to Lubavitch. That's what my Zayda was. Shtedrin, then he came to the Zal in Lubavitch. Not sure which year, Samach Tes or Ayin. My Zayda was in Lubavitch till they left Lubavitch Mamash. He was there after the Rebbe Rashabah went to Rostov. The yeshiva was noch geblieben in Lubavitch for a little bit. For a year or two, the yeshiva was still in Lubavitch. So my Zayda was there mamash to the very, very end. When the last wagons left Lubavitch, he was there. He was, I think, till about maybe Ayin Ches, Ayin Tes. He got married in Tofresh Pei. And after he got married, he lived where my bub was from, Hommel. His parents, he used to travel sometimes from his house to his parents' house, back and forth. His parents emigrated to the USA in Tofresh Pei Gimel. My Zayda had granduncles, his Zayda's brothers, who came to America in the early 1900s or even the 1890s, I'm not sure exactly when. They were here in America already. So they encouraged my elder Zayda and his brothers to come emigrate to America. They were shochtim. My elder Zayda was a sheikhet, and his brothers were also shochtim. So they came to America in Tofresh Pei Gimel. After they were here a few years, they wanted my Zayda to come with his family. By then, my Zayda was already had two daughters. My aunt, my mother were born in Russia. So they worked on getting them papers to be able to come to America. So in Tofresh Pei Vov, they actually came. But before then,
Your
my
grandparents.
Zayda, yeah. My Zayda both.
That was a very rare thing for Chassidim to come then.
Yeah. What happened was before then, my Zayda is the Frierdiker Rebbe. If he should come to, he says his parents want him to bring him to America. If he should come. So the Rebbe said, yes, you should go. Then he was at Yechidus another time, and the Frierdiker Rebbe told him, ich will uns werden am Maschpia in Hommel. So after the Yechidus, it's gewundert. Here the Rebbe told him he should go to America, and here the Rebbe told him he should come and Maschpia in Hommel. I forgot who it was. Ein of the Mekurovim from Frierdiker Rebbe, when he came out of Yechidus, so had Ibegeret, as wundert sich a bissel. This Mekurov one was by the Frierdiker Rebbe, and he told him that by Zayda wundert sich. So the Frierdiker Rebbe said, till he'll get the papers, es wird doch nehmen Zeit, a Chedisch, 2, 3, für die paar Gedoschen will so sein a Maschpia. So my Zayda says that it took 3 months to the date to get the papers.
Oh. So he was in Hamul. Then
he was in Hamul, and he got the papers. And he came, and he got the papers. He finally got the papers and the money he needed to go. And he left Russia. I think he left Russia on Shlichus'n Menachemov is when he actually left Russia. He came to Riga. I think he was Yutas Kislev in Riga.
Took so long?
Yeah, until
from Av till Kislev.
Yeah. It took till that's how long the procedure took.
Right.
He had to wait. There was a whole procedure to get the visa. Officially, he came as a rov in a shul, so they had to verify. So the consulate in Riga had to verify that it's true, and then they stamped it. So it took a long time till all the papers went back and forth. I think he came to America on Hey Tavis.
Okay.
But then he got the first letter from the Frierdiker Rebbe, Gimel Shvat Tofresh Pevov. The letter was as a letter that as a gedenken der Chreis was trockt zum Taten heißt es, zum Rebbe.
Rebbe Rashab.
Ja. Der Chreis auf Meifel sein Chassidus, speziell für die Jugend. Lahor Mechashak Eoretz. I forgot, it's a page and a half letter, Gimel Shvat Tofresh Pevov. This was like the mission statement from his coming to America.
It's like a Shlichus'n.
Yeah.
I think I read in his Sefer, Zechariah Bnei Yisrael, when he got to America, he did a lot of effort to make sure that he could find the Lange Rekel and to keep
when he came, that was He came with a long rekel, but they when it's one was a bissel lecher. So he says, no, machan lattes, you make a patch. I said, when that they had to have given a naya. So he said, good, I'm going to give him schneiden and machen a naya. I said, in America, it doesn't work that way. Everything is finished made,
Off the rack.
Off the rack. And no stores sell lange rekel.
Right.
Whatever. And then came a shal from Panosa. So like I said, he had uncles who were shochtim. He came to America before him. His father, and they were in Schlachtheiser, they were already Rosh Shochtim. But they didn't want to take him. He says, you look like a bottle. We can't take you in. You're too batlonish.
There's a beard. And...
You were, Lubavitch bogen. So he said, laat me zoeken. So they looked around. Then there was already a good Chassidim Chabad in America. There was a rov. His name was Likkutei. So they went to him and asked. He was the official Rav HaRoshi for all the Chabad Shul in Brownsville.
There were many.
Yeah.
In Brownsville.
So they looked around. The only one who was here before was Rabbi Simpson was already here. I see visit Rabbi Simpson, whatever. If I can help them. The kids in Nimitz, finally found a shul from Yidden who had come from the shtetl where they came from Russia. The name of the shul was Anshi Babresk. But Babresk, the shtetl where my Zayda came from, was close to Babresk. So a lot of people from the shtetl davened in this shul. My elder Zayda was a respected member of the kila in the shtetl. So when he came, they said sure. So my Zayda, they took my Zayda for a test. He was there, and they were makabel him. So he became a rov in the shul. One of the people davened in the shul, Meir Greenberg Oliver Shalom, his father davened in my Zayda shul. So Meir Greenberg, he was a kid. I made a dick cup. And my Zayda said, "You're not from Shikani Yeshiva learning." But since he never was in Yeshiva before, so when he came to Yeshiva, they put him in a lower grade because he'd push it. He didn't know enough to be in the grades of his age. So his father came to complain to my Zayda, how can you send him to Yeshiva? So my Zayda says, well, Zusta, you didn't want to send him to Yeshiva earlier. So my Zayda tutored him a whole summer that for the next year he was able to get into a class of his age. When Meir Green became bar mitzvah, my Zayda says, no, jetzt darf man learn Tanya. So he started teaching him Tanya.
Was he from a Lubavitch mishpacha originally?
No.
Yeah.
Kind of Lubavitch mishpacha.
Okay.
So my Zayda started teaching Meir Greenberg Tanya. And then some other Bochem Chavedim of his started being mitzdaref.
The Hechts.
What?
The Hechts.
Yeah. The Hechts, one of them, some of them. Yeah, there were others.
The whole group.
The whole group. This was the beginning of Chassidus in America. So it came a group. First it was only the Bochem, Meir Greenberg and his Chavedim. They were from Vadas. Then the group started growing from other yeshivas also. They used to come to my Zayda. My Zayda taught them Tanya, started teaching my Morim, upbringing with them. The kids, they became Mukushorim, the kids in Nimitz. My father already wrote to the Frierdiker Rebbe and the Tzaddiks from America. He has, I think, a letter from the Frierdiker Rebbe from the Tzaddiks noch a viel.
So your father basically joined this group of Bachrim.
Yeah.
So he's a Mekurev of Yisroel Jacobson, who later becomes his Shver.
Yeah. This group became bigger and bigger, and it made a big mapecha in America. Because the Bochem who learned Chassidus, they moest geguckt Englisch. Wir gesehen sie hier, Shemayim, Ernstkeit. The Frierdiker Rebbe called this group Achei Tmimim. That's the original Achei Tmimim. Not the yeshiva, but the Bochem who learned Chassidus.
So they're an extension of Tmimim, basically.
Yeah. Frierdiker Rebbe then wanted that from every yeshiva should be one nitzig for the whole yeshiva. So each yeshiva had a nitzig in charge of that yeshiva. A lot of interesting letters from the Frierdiker Rebbe. One of the interesting letters is, he writes they should be kaveya azman on Tuesday to learn Chassidus, and he wants to know exactly when they come. He also said that Anash, they should learn in a Mokim Merkozi, and that Anash should take turns to be there when they learn. So if they have shilas, someone should be there to answer them. But he wrote, Ich will mechava sein die shows when they learn.
Frierdiker Rebbe wants to know.
Frierdiker Rebbe, not Tvotsk, in Europe, want to be mechavan the hours when the Achei Tmimim are learning in America. There's a lot of reiche meises about the Achei Tmimim. The Rebbe then the Frierdiker Rebbe sent the Rebbe the Masper to be here. One time he was here, He wanted to come a second time, but the papers didn't work out. So he sent a different chassid from Riga, Reb Motel Chayfetz. Reb Motel Chayfetz was a warm, lebendige Heverman. So he used to verbring with the Bochum a lot. And when he came back to Atfotsk, to the Frierdiker Rebbe, I think it was Atfotsk already. So he gave a duch. He came before Shvuos. So the Frierdiker Rebbe said, that's time, Zeit des Kurz. He was a sheikhet. So before Shvuos, he was busy with it. He says, so he'll take a closed-dicke grus. He writes, the closed-dicke grus had genommen allein. The Rebbe looked at every single name. He wanted to know every single bocher, wegen dem bocher, wegen seinem Spoche. He writes my Zede Mededicke, wie the Frierdiker Rebbe's porn ham geleuchten, as he was reading the names.
Oh.
Whatever. The kids of these bochum, those are when these social things to me, man.
Later, when the Frierdiker Rebbe came.
The Frierdiker Rebbe came.
1 second. But then there was also a whole group that went to Tvotsk.
Wait, that was okay. Later.
Okay.
Then, so two of the bochum decided to go to Tvotsk. Berel Levy and Avram Barnetsky. They decided they want to go learn at Tvotsk, and they went. And we saw the American boys coming to the primitive Tvotsk, whatever. Oh, but on holiday had they gegeben gute Chavrusses. Then my uncle went, Zalman Hechtel or something.
Who also married Rabbi Yisroel Jacobson.
He was married already.
He got married,
but the Tanai was that he should go after his chasna to go learn at Tvotsk nor the chasna.
This was a thing, Bechlal, in Yenet Zeiten. There was such a thing. I mean, even in Europe, to go after you're married for
whatever
a year.
So they came to Tvotsk. So my aunt, Amerikaner made gleich noch the chasna in Tvotsk, you know. So the Rebbitzins, the Beis Harav, auf der Poshet Makarov gewinnt, Poshet, sie soll kennen einstellen. Poshet, they mamish like, they took care of a mamish wie a kind. The kids are so, what?
Your father was also part of this?
No, this was before. Later, a few weeks before the Milchoma, but there were letters, I think, from Chatshev, bringing noch Bochum in Tvotsk. So, in Tofresh Tzadik Tes, about a month before the war, I said to put together a group of Bochum, 6 Bochum, to go to Tvotsk. My father was part of those 6 Bochum. They went to Tvotsk. They came to Tvotsk, mamish, right before the Milchoma.
We had two, in the recent, the Hair magazines, we had 2 articles last few months, just about this.
Yeah, Avram Hecht wrote it in English.
Yeah, from him, yeah.
So they came, the first Friday they were there, the bombs started falling. The Frierdiker Rebbe told them they should they were not Tvotsk, they should go to Riga. They had to go to Varsha and go to Riga. And they should wait in Riga for him to come there. So it was a Friday night. They took the train to Varsha. They came to Varsha Friday night. Where were they going to stay? They thought they'll go into a hotel. But to go into a hotel, you had to sign your name. So, Shabbos, so they didn't know what to do. So they went to ask a Shaila. One of the Rabbonim in Varsha then was Reb Menachem Zemba, famous Goen.
He was by the Rebbe's chasana.
So he told them, alle Jiden haben muss zu sein, Sechet haben muss zu sein, was so dagenisch. B'shas atchak, chasme mit Ashinui.
Good.
Lepel, they found a place where they didn't have to chasme. So after Shabbos, they went on a train to go to Riga. By then, the war was already, the bombs were flying all over the place. So they were on the train to Riga. The Nazis, Yimach Shmom, the planes were trying to bomb the trains that were going. So when the train stopped, so a lot of people decided to get off the trains. Askanus, the Nazis are bombing the trains. They got off on the station. The Bochrim, the Rebbe said, "Not for in Riga." Says mit der Ogene fast stop. Wir fahren, wir nicht in Spol. What happened at the end? The Nazis machshmon saw the people getting off the trains on the station, so they came down and they strayed. They came down and they killed people on the train station.
They bombed the train station.
Yeah, the people who on the train. Meanwhile, some Polish planes came, and the Nazis planes zijn entlaufen. So the trains gekommen bescholen in Riga.
So listening to the Rebbe saved their lives.
Yeah, posh. They were in Riga. En Riga gewend greisig, een beetje de Massen gewend, een botel Geifert, Rabbi Altein. So when the Bochum came, so they all him zich vernoemen met de Amerikaner Bochum. De frat een beetje de Maschen used to give him a Chassidim and verbring him and say. My father once told me that gedenkt de verbringen van Richard de Masmed in Riga. It's like verbringen of 96. He says his sword is still burning from the 96 was Geheim and not in Riga. The Richard de Masmed.
Interesting.
So they were in Riga. So at that time it was known that the Nazis are soon coming into Latvia. So the elder Chassidim there told the Bochum, you have to run back to America. Save yourselves, go back to America. The Bochum didn't want to go. The Rebbe was on warten. So they didn't want to go. I was sof kosof. The Chassidim gequetscht way zu gehen. So then they went. They left it again, came to America. Later there was a letter from the Frierdiker Rebbe. Hayetochen. De ganze Zeit habe gedeiget, was tut sich mit. Und gebeten soll warten. I mean, in der Chatava there was no communications then. It was the middle of the war. Whatever, but
that's what happened. Meise Shoya.
So he made it back to America. Or another one of the ones who was there, I'm not sure if he was at this zchus or if he also one who went before. Yitzhak Kolodny Olverson.
I think he was, if I remember correctly, I think he was like in a kvutza before.
And a kvutza before, I think also.
I think so, yeah.
I think I once heard from Yisrael Gordon about Yitzhak Kolodny, that when he came back to America, so all the Bochum, what did they do? So they were going back to Teda Vadas to learn in yeshiva. It was before the Frierdiker Rebbe came. They were in Teda Vadas. So he said, Yitzhak Kolodny, I cannot learn Seder V. So he sat in a shul, I forgot, on the east side or wherever it was, and gehalten the Sidorim von Tein Chitmim. I cannot learn wie in the yeshiva. I cannot halten wie the Sidorim von Tein Chitmim. That's what I think I heard from you, Saul Gordon also.
Amazing.
The kids, so they came. When the Frierdiker Rebbe came, versteht sich, they all went into Tein Chitmim.
So your father Taka went back at Teda Vadas, and then the Frierdiker Rebbe comes.
They all went and
he started Tein Chitmim, so those are the first Timimim in the yeshiva. This group.
Mm-hmm.
So your father learned in 770, Tafshin Aleph.
Yeah. My father learned in 770, and the beginning of Tafshin Beis, on a Motzi Shabbos, he was sitting in the Zal. He gets a tap on his shoulder. Chaim Lieberman's tapping his shoulder. The Rebbe will the Zen. So he goes upstairs to the Frierdiker Rebbe. The Frierdiker tells him that he received a letter from the Lubavitch shul in Pittsburgh. It was in a bad neighborhood. So the all young families moved out to a better neighborhood. Und die ältere Jiden sind geblieben allein. Sie beten dem Rebbe, if sie können schicken sie a rov to help take care of them. So, Frierdiker said, soll fahren in Pittsburgh. Lubavitch is from Pittsburgh. Then it was mamish a few days before he used the Kislev. I don't know how. My kids have figured out it was the night of December 7th, the night of Pearl Harbor. I don't know. But Bekitzer, before you das Kislev in jener Zeiten, wäre gesendet Frierdiker Rebbe. My father was an älterer Bocher. So got sein mein Frierdiker Rebbe verbringen, senden Rebbe. So gebeten dem Rebbe, efter kann bleiben up das Kislev. Frierdiker said, no, for morgen free. So my father went the next morning, train station, went by train, comes to Pittsburgh, comes to the train station in Pittsburgh. He thought, no, Frierdiker Captain Mishim, this time there'll be a welcoming committee. He gets off the train station's empty. But he had a telephone number for the president of the shul. So he calls the number. The guy answers, says, who are you? So he says, Frierdiker hat mir geschickt zu helfen. He says, what can you help us? And he slams the phone down. Bekitzer.
Nice Kabbalah's pun.
Yeah. So my father had the address of the shul. So he geht in the shul. So he went, comes to the shul. While he's sitting in the shul, the postman comes into the shul with a special delivery letter. There was an alter shamus in shul. Alter shamus gives a look at the letter, and he throws it into a closet. After the shamus walked out of shul, my father was curious, so he gives a look. The letter's from the Frierdiker Rebbe. It was the letter from the Rebbe zu bekannt machen sie that schickt mir seine Taten.
Okay, they didn't know yet that he was coming, right?
No. So my father stayed. He was the rov there. My father, when he was there, the Frierdiker Rebbe told him that the Heitzor seine von Cheshm, the Frierdiker Rebbe's prot is the Cheshm. He should send them a list of Heitzors, and the Frierdiker Rebbe will send them the money. My father used to say, if I gucken, wie Shlichus'n leben, einige Zeiten. The Monster sagte, every time he went to the store to buy something to eat, had getracht 3 Mal what he should buy.
Right.
Jede Brut ist auf Mamscha von Rebbe's Chesm. Bekitzer, als ist gegangen, then a Zeit ist durch. He saw that in the afternoon when public schools closed, jüdische Kinder drehen sich am Gas und tun gar nicht. So he went out on the street und angeben schleppten Kinder. Kommen rein in die Schule and he started teaching the kids. Lernt man sie. Chumisch, Mischen und Gemorra. So, dennoch, he had bisher got a ganze Kita, dann geschleppt noch Kinder. A zweite Kita. Noch a Weile hat betracht sich, this was in one section of Pittsburgh. Kann gehen in a zweite Schule und geschleppt noch Kinder. Kachave. But he couldn't teach all at once. So he geschleppt Chassidim from 770 to come help him. When he wanted to expand more, so he has the Frierdiker Rebbe. So the Frierdiker told him that this is Achit Mimim, and it's alle Shalos hot. He should ask Rashag. Rashag is the manal of Chloe from Achit Mimim. So any question he has, frag him by Rashag.
So he basically founded the Achet Timimim school in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, whatever.
And was that the first Achet Timimim?
It was actually the first one, yeah. But it was an afternoon school, what we call nowadays a Talmud Teda.
Mm-hmm.
But it's expanded to new Shchunas. My father was still a bocher. So it came a point that the Frierdiker Rebbe, also my father's already an older bocher, that someone has to an ältere darf übernehmen this whole operation. So my wife's grandfather, Psholm Posen, was in Chicago. So the Frierdiker told my Psholm Posen to move to Pittsburgh and take over the whole operation. So he came to Pittsburgh, and he made a regular school from this. Limudei Kodesh in the morning, Limudei Chil in the afternoon. So the school and the tzia of his school, he was the one who established.
Shalom.
Yeah, but the garden was from my father.
Oh. So ultimately he came back to New York.
Then later, yeah, at the end of Tofshin Gimel, he came back. It was this in Tofshin Gimel, he came back to New York, and he got engaged.
So is there a story about the shidduch with the Frierdiker Rebbe? With the, I'm saying it was Rabbi Yisroel Jacobson New Year's Eidim, so one of his talmidim. So
Yeah, of course you know.
he made the shidduch. Mistama.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, there's letters from the Frierdiker Rebbe wegen dem shidduch to my father.
So maybe you could tell me about your mother, because I know there's a lot. There's a special yachas that the Rebbe had with her. And,
Yeah, my mother was born, like I said, she was born in Russia. She came to America 1.5 years old. She grew up, and she went to public school. There was no Beis Yankov those times. My mother had a Gainish Koposhet. She was like top of the class, whatever. So any chinuch she had was from the home. So her understanding was a chassid meant is from looking at my zayda. Just to give you an illustration, my mama's kop. My father used to learn drei prokem Rambam. If I nemen a Rambam, my mother used to sit next to my father, and my father had gelernt von kol Rambam. Jede halacha, auch geteilt the halacha, und Masbe gewend halacha. Then my mother would angeben fragen. Sie hat ihm nicht auch gelost. He used to mama say with zwei yeshiva bacham. They used to learn 3 prokem Rambam.
Wow. Definitely unique.
Yeah, my mother was like a big debater. Wherever. She had very strong days, No pshodas. She didn't go for any pshodas or anything. And you could argue for hours with her. She wouldn't budge, Whatever. A starke Kopf.
So I want to ask about the Yiddish Haim.
Okay.
But maybe it's better to go chronological order. So your parents got married.
My parents got married in Tofshin Dalet. My father, after he was in Pittsburgh, they got married in Kislev Tofshin Dalet. In the summer of Tofshin Dalet, he started the yeshiva in New Haven.
So that was the establishment of it.
What?
That was the establishment of the yeshiva.
Yeah, he started the yeshiva with Pale Mamish.
Okay, so far 2 yeshivas under his belt.
Yeah.
That are still around. Yeah.
Then, I don't know exactly when he wrote to the Frierdiker Rebbe that he knows the area of the Bronx. I don't know exactly how. Could be because my elder Zayda lived in the Bronx, because his great uncle, he had a great uncle, like I said, who came in. They lived in the Bronx. So I imagine that's why he moved to the Bronx.
So your father's...
My Zayda Jacobson's parents,
okay.
they lived in the Bronx. So could be that's how he said that's why he knew the Bronx. There was a very big Nusach Hari shul in the Bronx. The Rov there was the Malach.
Who also had his own thing going on Tel Vadas.
Yeah, that's a separate issue. Okay.
With your same time as your Zayda.
Yeah, that's a separate issue. Okay. But my elder Zayda, like I said, he was a Choshev Yid, so he davened in that Nusach HaRishul. And he was like, I don't know if he was ongezen Mispal dorten. So bekitzer. So the Frierdiker Rebbe told, like I said, everything shaykh from Achei Tmimim as a shaykh to Rashag. Lepel went back and forth. Lepel, he started the yeshiva in the Bronx. I think it was Toshon. I'm not sure if it was Toshon Hey or Toshon Vov. He started Achei Tmimim in the Bronx. They moved to the Bronx. The yeshiva lasted until the end of the Lameds. By then, the whole Bronx was going from Weiss, from Loven Shocher. There were no Yidden left there. So that's the Bronx.
So that's where you were born. That's
I
where
was
you
born
grew
in
up.
the Bronx, yes.
Yeah. Okay, fine. So, maybe you could tell me a little bit about. There's a lot of letters from your mother to the Rebbe. Like maybe you could tell me something about it.
I know the letters they printed. That was also a lot of letters, but there's a very famous letter in English. It's without a name, but it's to my father. My mother was brought up in the Depression years, so she was very verquetscht and had to move from one place to another. Every Gashmi's it was very depressing for her. So my father once wrote to the Rebbe that my mother's was down. So the Rebbe wrote on the bottom, Bite shel chosid, ishte shel chosid, uba'atzmo balasmechen or balasmida, something like that.
Daitonus, I think.
What?
Daitonus, is that?
What? Daitonus, yeah. Daitonus or balasmidas. Atzus minayin lo.
How does she have atzus? Wie kommt das?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. So
then,
yeah.
Okay. Then I think it was the end of the Yuds was the Yiddish Heim. The Yiddish Heim had the Yiddish and the English. So I don't know exactly why. There was an editor for the English. For whatever reason. So she, I don't know exactly how it happened. She became the editor from the English Cheluk of the Yiddish Heim. So just like the talks and tales, the same with the Yiddish Heim. The Yiddish Chadakov was the Magia. As he werd she kent English. So the Rebbe himself was Magia, side the talks and tales in English, and side the Yiddish Heim in English.
So your mother's the editor of Yiddish Heim, and the Rebbe is editing every article.
Every issue, yeah.
Every issue. So that means that every single English article in the Yiddish Heim the Rebbe looked over? Is that what it means?
Every single article.
Till Tafshin Nun Aleph, I think.
Till Nun Aleph, yeah. Then the Rebbe wrote, I think it was Nun Aleph, Ein hazman grom edel hagia, vo esmech oleh.
The Rebbe is relying on her.
Yeah.
So are there any interesting kiruvim or siachos that your mother got because of the Yiddish Heim?
I think this was the reason. In Toshon Chofei, when the Rebbe gedruckt the Likkutei Sichos. So it's bewusst. The Rebbe hat ausgekleidet 10 Menschen, jeder eine hat eine Sache gewonnen, mit geben $1,000 für die Hagdosha.
People paid for the printing of the Likkutei
Auf
Sichos.
die Likkutei, ja.
So $1,000 each.
Der Rebbe hat allein ausgegeben 10 Menschen. Sake gewinnt 10 Menschen. So one of the 10 was my mother. The Rebbe, every one of these 10 people, the Rebbe gave a Likkutei Sichos. These 10 people could make their own Hagdosha. But the Rebbe, the one that the Rebbe printed on his mother's name, the Rebbe Sanchana's name, that was the Rebbe's Hagdosha.
So one of the Hakdoshas was for Rebbe Tzachana.
That was the main Hagdosha.
Okay.
So the Rebbe gave Likkutei Sichos, the one with the Rebbe's Hagdosha. Each one of these 10 people got.
Oh, you're saying that these people had their own Hakdosha also?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Each one. I have a Likkutei Sichos. What my parents printed it on the name of my brother over Shalom. So
When he was alive. Tavshach Hafei.
zchus, not zchus.
Mm-hmm.
He needed a full shleiman. No?
Mm-hmm.
Zchus, my brother, they printed it. The kids, but on the Rebbe's, the one that the Rebbe gave, the Rebbe inscribed every Likkutei Sichos. He wrote 2 or 3 shudas, the Loshen of the Shabbat, Bebroch L'Seidus Halavovus Lavedus Hashem, and then he signed his name. So, the Likkutei Sichos, Rabbi Chadakov had Likkutei Sichos. So my father was once in Crown Heights. He wanted to pick up the Likkutei Sichos. So Chadakov said, my mother has to come get the Likkutei Sichos. Then the Rebbe told my mother she should teach the kalas for the chasna. So it was like the madricha for the kalas. So she had to come from Bronx to Crown Heights. A train ride was not a very geschmacker ride. It could take at least an hour and a half, if not more. A car ride is a half hour. And the train itself, it didn't go through the most geschmacker neighborhoods. The train ride was an L train. It went to South Bronx. South Bronx is famous for mention was based on the history. From New York, South Bronx was mefursan in ganz America as one of the worst neighborhoods in the whole America. The biggest slum areas. I mean, I went to yeshiva also. When I used to go to yeshiva, I went to Bet Frandin. Every Sunday morning, I would take the train. So we'd pass through. You passed through the South Bronx. You looked out the windows of an L train on top. You looked out the window. All you saw was buildings, burnt out buildings for miles and miles with the windows wooded up. Looked like the bombed out city, mamish. Mm-hmm. So my mother was very uncomfortable. So my mother asked Rabbi Chadakov, maybe the consultant, she should be able to come with a taxi. So Chadakov agreed to pay for the taxi for my mother to come to Crown Heights to teach. Kan zich voorstellen, Chadakov was for a taxi.
If he agreed for that, it must have been important.
I'm going to see the sneffish. Pale mamish.
What was the Rebbe's involvement with your brother? Wasn't well his whole life. What was the Rebbe's involvement with that?
So here we have to go a little bit maybe to the esrogim, because
that was my next question.
Okay, it has a Shlichus'n, that's why I want to say it.
Okay, fine. So we have the Frierdiker Altein, which I think was once the Frierdiker Jacobson. What's the story?
Beteva, he was an askan. What's meaning an askan? That he was a doer. In fact, when my mother asked the Rebbe about printing a sefer, the zchus of my zayda, so or the story of the Hatzolah of Frierdiker Rebbe. The Rebbe wrote, nicht nur I don't remember the exact lotion, it's printed. And Askommen, bevadi wird man können lernen von dem Asach in askanus zchus über Frat Chabadis.
The story of your grandfather, it is the story of askanus and
Askanus, yeah.
askanus Chabadis.
Yeah, so Bekitzer, my Zayde, like I said before, came in Tofresh
He was also heavily involved with rescuing the Frierdiker
and
Rebbe.
everything. Yeah, he was involved. Like if he was part of the Vad HaRabbonim of Brownsville, he was busy with in jede Sache von starken Yiddishkeit here in America. Every mace at Chabad in those years, my Zayde's hand was in the middle. Temchet Mimim, Beis Rivka, whatever, Chaver Kedisha. Every mace from the early years, my Zayde was involved. But kids, my Zayde came Tofresh Pevov to America. The only chassid he knew then was Rabbi Simpson, all of a sudden. So at the end of Tofresh Pevov, before Sukkot, so he went to Rabbi Simpson, and he asked Rabbi Simpson, "Wo nimmt man da an esrog? A yana v'esrog." So Rabbi Simpson told him, "In America, there's no such thing.
There's no Calabria.
No such thing as a Calabria esrog. Go to the east side, and we'll get an Eretz esrog." My Zayde couldn't accept it. So my Zayde told him, "Next year, I'm going to have a yana v'esrog. Not only, I'll have one for you too." Kach have. My Zayde knew in Italy there was a Yid who supplied Europe with esrogim. Like he didn't own the fields, but he was the one. He lived in, I've forgotten which city, but there's letters from the Rebbe Rashab noch zu dem Yid.
He was the way people got yana v'esrogim in Europe.
So my Zayde contacted him. I think even the yeshiva in Varsha. And he ordered the esrogim. He got esrogim. Box of esrogim. Not only one, he got a whole box. Verstehst? So für Sukkot Tofresh Bezayin hat schon gehabt Yana Vesek for sich und for Rabbi Simpson von noch jeden. In the beginning, had they get esrogim, the esrogim grew wild. Wasn't an orderly way. So they used to hire a goy to go to the fields, to the places where the esrogim grew, and the goy cut the esrogim and sent to the Yid. He sent them to America. No one looked what an esrog this is. So the esrogim were, they weren't exactly the shenste esrogim. So like this, as they started, my Zayde started, more and more people started wanting yana v'esrogim. So my Zayde started ordering more and more esrogim. He bought, he paid a good price for them until the goyim with gesehen as though something's developing here. So they started, taking care of more was mashigdor, whatever. So as they had entwickelt the whole thing. When the Frierdiker Rebbe came to visit America in Tofresh Tzaddik, so when he came in Tofresh Tzaddik, so the Frierdiker Rebbe also ordered the esrogim.
From Zayde?
No, before then. He ordered, they should send from Europe esrogim to him. They came to my Zayde's address because the address in America for Chabad was my Zayde's address. So the Frierdiker Rebbe's box of esrogim came also to my Zayde. Chatsha Fagan also came with the Frierdiker Rebbe to America. Chatsha Fagan was a shtickle mechuten with my Zayde. Whatever, so he stayed by my Zayde a lot. So my Zayde had his esrog, his boxes of esrogim. So Chatsha was by my Zayde in the house, and he saw my Zayde's esrog. So he tells my Zayde, Yisroel, dein esrog is beina rechshenu wie dem Rebbe's esrog. So my Zayde said, "No, nem dem esrog, bring es dem Rebbe." That's all. Kach have. Frierdiker Rebbe looked at later. Chalamed, I think, my Zayda went into the Rebbe for a Baruch Eppes. The Frierdiker Rebbe hat zchus gesagt, es gar nicht kein Golus-Essig.
It's not Golus. We have a esrog.
Yeah, es nicht kein Golus-Essig. Es ist
Nicht kein
Geschenkeit.
Golus-Essig.
Whatever. Frierdiker Rebbe wanted to pay. Mein Zayda nicht wollte haben kein Geld, whatever. But the kids, there was a mephus with the mice. Because my aunt, Rebbetzin Hecht, she was a small girl then. She was cross-eyed. So my Zayda brought her into the Frierdiker Rebbe for a brocha. So when they came in, so the Frierdiker Rebbe turned to my aunt. She was a small girl. I don't think she was even 10 years old yet. And he called her over. She should. So she walked over to the Frierdiker Rebbe. The Frierdiker Rebbe told her, "Cook mir in the egen." So she looked the Frierdiker Rebbe. Then the Frierdiker Rebbe turned to my Zayda. Was willst du? Is that doch gleich? She walked out healed, the kids in minutes. So that was the mephus. Frierdiker Rebbe also told my Zayda he should bring a lulav. He told him all the simonim was a lulav davon. That's how the whole thing has been verwachsen with the moch from Eben.
That's where it comes from?
That's where it comes from.
That we're makbid dafka to have the mach.
Yeah.
That was very hard as a kid going to Altein esrogim trying to find one with the mach. Now they come in packages.
Yeah. The kids are, so that's how the thing started. Tofresh Pi Zion. Next year is 100 years, no?
Wow. So
Meir Shana. So
and once the Frierdiker Rebbe came to America,
once the Frierdiker came to America, so my Zayda supplied Beis Horav with esrogim. I think from the beginning the Rebbe was the one who took care by the choosing the esrogim and the daled minim. The Rebbe took care of it.
So your Zayda was always working with the Rebbe on this.
I believe so. Bekitzer, so my Zayda supplied Beis Horav with esrogim all the years. I think Tofshon Tezvov or Tofshon Tezayim, the Lubavitch Rov in Milan, Italy, was Rav Palovo Vashon. So he wrote to the Rebbe that the Goyim are being markev.
This whole issue of Murkov esrogim began, the whole problem.
That's when he was Megal the problem. Originally, when it was in wild fields, so there was no problem. But once the Goyim started making, fields dedicated for esrogim for Yidden, so then the esrog tree is a very weak one. So they had to strengthen it, you mark of it. So then the Rebbe told my Zayda, darf allein vorn and be beidik every tree to make sure it's not a morkev. And and the Rebbe told him he has to have sein zwei edes.
Wow.
2 people should be beidik every tree. So my Zayda started going every summer to Italy. At that time, the Rebbe gave my Zayda money to be mishtatef in the whole Indian. Shtatvus and the Hitzos. Every year since then, the Rebbe used to send out to my Zayda, and when my Zayda was nifta, my father took over, he sent out to my father every year $501 every year.
For the travel to Italy?
Yeah. For the Hitzos and the Ashutfus and the Geschäft. I remember my Zayda going to Italy when I was a young bocher in the Chofs. I remember we used to go to the country. In the middle of the summer, my father would disappear for a month. My father used to travel with my Zayda. My Zayda used to tell us, it's a bush. Esrog is a bush. It's not a big tree. It's a bush full of thorns. And the harkov a lot of time was on the bottom, even under the ground. So you davon krichen auf der Erde and dig up. If you see, you could tell if there was like a little mound of earth. So you had to dig with your hands until you can see where they're going with Markov. So it was an Avedis Perach, the kids in him. It wasn't a big, automated work. It was bushes, krichen of the red. It was like dark. So Isaiah had a flashlight to be able to see what's doing unter the red. Krichen of alle vier. Bekitzer. So Isaiah is gegangen, Jahr zu Jahr, every year. The Rebbe would send out at the beginning of the summer the Status in the business. And then the Rebbe bestellen esrogim. Nicht nur für sich, the Rebbe verteilen the Shlichus'n, zchus.
To all the esrogim that the Rebbe.
Yeah, so every year was a different amount. According to how many people the Rebbe was. So the Rebbe ordered the esrogim. Andere Jiden haben echt zugestellt dem Rebbe esrogim.
From other places?
No, even from Calabria.
Okay.
Mit gegeben dem Rebbe an Essig, but bestellt hat der Rebbe bestellt für mein Seele, mein Tate. And he used to pay for it. The Rebbe used to side the $500 on side was gezahlt for the Segen was all in cash. $100 bills.
When did the Rebbe pay for it?
So the Rebbe paid, we weiß doch alle, der Meister, der Frierdiker Rebbe hat gezahlt, Chaneke Zeit. Der Rebbe schreibt, als sagt nach sich, als hat sich gedungen einmal, aber hat Chash von Lechem, gewollt zahlen für zchus. Aber der Frierdiker Rebbe hat nicht gewollt.
Right. But the Rebbe...
So the Rebbe also, hat getan wie der Schwer.
So he paid the Chaneke time?
He paid Chaneke time.
In cash?
Yeah. So my father had stacks of $100 bills from the Rebbe.
Right.
So when he wanted to give matonas to einiglich was einen, haben they sich hingehen bei ihm, so the matona was $100 bill from the Rebbe.
And this was all the years...
Till Tafshin
Till Tafshin Beis, the Rebbe was paying cash, and your father would go into the Rebbe to receive it, or was... No.
What happened was, so when we had to give the Rebbe the esrogim, so usually it was the night of Yud Gimel Tishrei, Fahren Verbringen Efshar viel. So my father used to bring the Rebbe suitcases of esrogim.
You were part of it also?
No.
No.
Okay. My father would bring, let's say, 30 esrogim, 50 esrogim. And in Ganeden Tachten, they put a long table the whole way through. And my father would unpack the suitcase. Then the Rebbe would... I'm not sure if my father was there when the Rebbe chose the esrogim, but my father always had a yechidus with the Rebbe. The Rebbe would... He had a yechidus. Those yechidus, and so they would ask him all kinds of things. There's a lot of things about what's doing in Italy with the fields over there. But a lot was private, family things. So that's when a lot of times my father would ask the Rebbe about my brother, Lubavitch. He needed special help. He was totally paralyzed. I think he had ALS, they call it. MS or ALS, I forgot which one. I'm not sure what he had. But he was totally paralyzed. And the Rebbe used to tell him give Heiros what to do. I think it was my father always wanted Samir reinschleppen, when er gekomen is gewollt. After the Rebbe finished picking the esrogim, so he called my father back in, and all the rejects, my father would take all the rejects and pack them back in a suitcase on a Rüsgim. And the Rebbe is noch gestanden dort. So one time, I forgot it was Tavshanun on Aleph. So after my father packed it up, so the Rebbe asked my father, I guess allein schleppen das. So my father said, mein Sohn steht in da Andresen. So the Rebbe came out of Gan Eden at Tach, and I was standing Tach in the hallway.
Because you were helping Taki, your father, Mr.
I was going to schlep it back to the car.
Uh-huh.
So the Rebbe threw open the door. He saw me. I mag het met mijn hand. Dat ik schlep. That's the extent of my involvement.
Okay. But I'm standing behind the scenes. You're involved also. Because there's also a whole business of selling esrogim. That's a whole thing, right?
My father, My father didn't come to Crown Heights to sell the esrogim. He used to hire people to sell for him. Heschel Zettel used to sometimes sell the esrogim for him. My cousin Yossi Altein. Then came a time he asked me to help out in the store. So for a while I started helping out in the store. Not by myself. I used to go in, but I didn't run the whole thing. I was busy in the zchus, was not shaykh to...
Which we'll talk about soon.
Whatever. It wasn't shaykh that I should take over a business. But then after my father moved to Eretz Yisrael, my parents moved to Eretz Yisrael, so then I took over the business.
Mm-hmm. So
my father, Oliver Sholem, used to go to Italy after my Zaydas Petira, Tovshon Lamed Hey, even before then. In Tovshon Chovtes, my Zaydas suffered a massive heart attack. So in the summer of Chovtes, the doctors didn't let him go already. So then my father went to Italy, and Meshel was lang gesund. It started with, I think Meshel started with my Zayda. He told me a lot of times he picked the segment with my Zayda already.
Because he was there,
He was there, yeah. So he helped my Zayda. But after my Zaydas stopped going, so my father and Meshel Azar were the ones who picked the segment. In Toshan Lamed Vov, my father suffered a major heart attack. So the summer of Lamed Vov, he couldn't go already. So then, Shmuel Grodel started going with Meshel Azar.
He was also lived in
What?
He lived there.
He lived in Milan.
Yeah.
Shlichus'n in Milan. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, okay. So
since then, Meshel Azar and Shmuel Grodel were the ones who picked the esrogim for the Rebbe all the years. And Meshel Azar is lang gesund. He still goes on the field when he has kerch. Shenishke junger man. But both of them trained their children in the Chochmah Vitz Kleiden esrogim.
So they work together with you.
Yes.
So if you want to buy a esrogim from the place that the Rebbe has a shutvis, you have to buy from Altein esrogim.
The kids in Nimritz.
Okay.
It's a grobkeit, a bissel, zu sagen, zu nutzen dem Rebbens Namen for business.
For business, but it's
a grobkeit, was auch dann. Ich sage es nicht.
I said it.
You said it.
Okay. That's it. 1 + 1 = 2.
No.
You don't have to. Okay. Very good. So I want to move on a little bit to you.
To me.
I think we're ready. So you're born in the Bronx.
Born in the Bronx. Went to my father's yeshiva till I was about 11 years old.
So what was the first... So you're not living in Crown Heights. What was your first... seeing the Rebbe? I'm saying
I don't remember exactly the first time.
Ja, die Chidis bei your Abschenisch?
I don't remember. I don't remember. Maybe I remember with my brother's Abschenisch, I'm not sure.
Younger brother?
My older brother.
Older brother.
He was born in Tovshon Ches. Tovshon Zion. Not Tovshon Ches. I don't remember. I think I remember coming to 770 as a kid. I mean, we used to come very often to my Zayda's house. For Pesach, for other times.
And he was living in Crown Heights then?
My Zayda, sure.
Yeah. So you grew up being around the Rebbe. So what is your earliest times remembering the Rebbe? Not a time. I'm saying what was the machzeh? What was the tzir? What was going on? You came to Fabrengens?
I only remember 2 machzehs, very vague. I don't have clear memories. I remember davening in the kleine Zal upstairs, Yontif, packed in the kleine Zal eben. And I also remember Alil Simchas Teda. In the Shalash, I wasn't in the shalash. I was with my mother. The Weibishul was around. The shalash goes down, but around, like where the building is, the left side, the apartment building. So the women used to go around, used to look down in the shalash.
Like by behind the gate.
Yeah, so they used to look down into the shalash. So I was with my mother, I remember, by the shalash. Alel Simchas Teda. I think there was going to Grease Bahola, Farat Reisa. I was a little kid. I don't remember. I didn't even remember what year it was from then. My father used to schlep me to Fabrengens.
So those years you were learning. So I mean, so that those are your early memories from the Rebbe.
Okay, my father used to schlep me to Fabrengens as a kid. I remember going to the halls.
The Fabrengens in the halls.
Yeah, I remember. My father schlepped me to a hall. That's all. Ik denk gonnische. Mama's gonnische.
So this is in the Yuds.
Yeah, in the Yuds. I remember my father. Ik denk, I'm a whole title on. I remember we staan met de kinderen. I remember, I don't know, some vague memory of my whole title.
So you're learning in the Bronx for the whole elementary. You learned there.
Yeah.
So you didn't go to Bedford and Dean.
What?
You didn't go to Bedford and Dean.
No.
You're in your father's yeshiva.
Yeah. I went to Bedford and Dean. I think El Chofalef, I believe.
When you were already
11 years
11.
old.
So you basically grew up. It's like a Shlichus'n, basically. Like you're growing up in the Bronx. There's no
Bronx,
other
yeah.
kids. Like Shlichus'n's kids grow up today.
Yeah.
Like that type of thing.
Yeah. Weren't a lot of Fruma. We lived in a neighborhood where there weren't a lot of Fruma Yidden.
Right. So you end up going to Bedford and Dean at 11 years old.
11 years old, I went to Bedford. My brother was already in Bedford and Dean before me.
Mm-hmm. So, and then you're learning in then you have your bar mitzvah, you're already in the Lubavitch Mesgeres.
Yeah.
And you had your chiddush for your bar mitzvah, I imagine.
Yeah.
So anything that you want to, anything from those early years when you were younger from your chiddush that's worth sharing?
I don't remember anything. I don't remember any chiddush before. My mitzvah, my father had me zugekriegt a pilpul, shalelu vierig. In other words, not for a kid to say.
Mm-hmm.
A gedreite stickel Reb Chaim. It was, my father sat with a pen. In those days, he wrote it out on paper, 20 written pages. Geproefd met einhaken en kop. Aber ich bin ein Kind und nicht nur ein Scheich zu verstehen. When we went to Yechidus, the Rebbe asked me, was gehe ich sagen? So the Rebbe verheard me on the niggle. So the Rebbe hat dann gegeben Fragen. The Sugi ist gewesen wegen Ibud Eides Lishmo. Tfilin und Mezuzah, Sefer Teire, Tfilin und Mezuzah. So the Rebbe hat dann gefragt. I tried to answer, aber der Rebbe hat nicht auch gelost. You know, gequetscht until I got stuck. The kids in him. My father was embarrassed for me. I was going to go from. All I remember is that in the Broche, the Rebbe had gesagt, als sein bei mir Ibud Eidus Lishmo, wie es im Wuren Tereir. That's all I remember. I think he said Tereir Mishpotum.
You didn't know what that meant then?
At that time?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Uh-huh.
That's all I remember from the Bar Mitzvah Yechidus.
Okay, so I imagine once you're in whatever they call it, yeshiva, high school,
In Bedford.
Mistama, you started becoming a little more...
B'Seichen Yonim.
Yeah, B'Seichen Yonim.
Okay, yeah, whatever.
I think you told me that you listened to tapes.
That
You
was
listened
later on. Okay. But in Lechatchil, this is Tavshan Chav Beis, Tavshan Chav Gimel. So, like I said, we used to come a lot of times to my Zeder for Yontif, I'm over Pesach, I'm over for Simchas Teda. So like this, I used to go every Shabbos. Used to go back home to the Bronx for Shabbos. But once in a while, I stayed in Crown Heights for Shabbos and Vorchem. When I was after Bar Mitzvah, a lot of times I would stay for Shabbos and Vorchem by my Zayda. Not every Shabbos and Vorchem, but a lot of times. I didn't understand the upbringings. It was over my head completely. I do remember that the eerste Mal ich verstanden was der Rebbe redt, die wie stammes wenn der Rebbe redt the Sichos was a zchus.
Ah, the Lamtenshik.
Yeah. I remember the Rebbe did tell the Meise, das the eerste Mal ich verstanden was der Werte von Rebbe.
Right.
The Meise.
The whole story, yeah.
The story. Okay, that was, I think, I forgot Chav Bezach of Gimel, I forgot what year it was. Chav Bezach of Gimel. I remember a little shticklich, kleine Wörtel I remember from the Rebbe, like Chav Daled Achron Shopech. The Rebbe gered wegen Ilu heet zich Kodesh Baruch Hu Mitzrayim, Harei Onu Vaneinu V'nei. The Rebbe gered as Vigulus Mitzrayim is a pool in zchus. Remember when the Rebbe said the Meise, wegen pool in zchus, had the Rogatshova zogt, as Kedushin is a pool in zchus. So I forgot he said Chaim, or I forgot somebody has the Rogatshova. He says, kommt jetzt ein Mazeltov.
Chasnegat.
It's jetzt Chasnegat, a pool in zchus. The Rogatshova again, just the Mazeltov is echt a pool in zchus, something like that.
Only need one.
Yeah. It's a pool. I remember the Rebbe said, the Elam had sich lacht a bissel. But I remember that verbringen. That was Chav Daled.
So you're starting to...
Besech on Jons, Chav Hei is when the Rebbe don't even learn the Rashis. So then, also I learned in Bedford, every Sunday, Chav Hei already was a Mesifta. Every Sunday, Rabbi Yisroel used to, the whole Mesifta would sit around a big ches, and Rabbi Yisroel would chazer the verbringen.
For the kids?
For the kids, yeah. So I guess, so when he used to chazer the Rashis, Rabbi Yisroel used to chazer it with the Sofa Berura, so we were able to chap. So later, when the Rebbe said by the verbringers, so the Rashis were really easier to follow, kashas with emphasis.
You're saying you got used to the style.
You got used to
from the Biel's Chazara.
We were able to understand it, yeah.
Yeah.
So then we started understanding the Sichos already. The Rashi Sichos, I feel a Mesifta Bach was easy to follow. Wasn't tief in Yonim Chassidus oder kompliziert in Nigla. So Chav Hei, aber gewoon even verstehen ein bisschen in the Sichos. And so bisslich I started verstehen the andere Sachen echt, I was already getting older. So Chav Hei habe ich schon mitgehalten, schon ein bisschen mehr der Sichos. Then Chav Vav we already learned by the real officially Chassidus.
In Bedford?
In Bedford.
So like were you by that time you're already there every Shabbos? The Tabringens?
Chav Vav I was here much more, yeah.
So were you like were you going to Chazara? Were you doing that type of thing right away, or are you still, these things take time?
I used to go to Chazara, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so what happens afterwards? You I know you were in Shlichus'n in
I ate
Melbourne.
more chicken.
No, I'm saying I know you're in Shlichus'n in Melbourne. That was
a lot later.
That was after you're learning 770 already?
Yeah.
So just give me chronologically what happens. You
Tofshin Chav Vav, I was my last year in Bedford. Chav Zayin and Chav Res I learned in Newark. Under Rabbi Yisroel Nigla, Rabbi Leibel Chassidus.
And that's when you were listening to tapes of previous years?
No. That was in Bedford. Chavov in Bedford still. Toshen Chavov in Bedford.
What happened?
So I had two Chavedim who had tape recorders. And those years, a tape recorder wasn't the little tiny cassette. It was gigantic machines with reels,
Reel to reel.
reel to reel. So actually, I had three Chavedim. And Aaron Yankov Goldstein from Ann Arbor. So he had the tapes from his father from all the old years.
From the Yuds.
From the Yuds noch. Well, who had tape recorders. But my chaver had a tape recorder. So I borrowed the tape recorder from my chaver in the dormitory. And the tapes I borrowed from Aaron Yankov. He gave us tapes. So Thursday night, lights out was officially 9:30. So after there was a dormitory, council, whatever. So after lights out, 10:30, I used to take the machine, go down to the basement where the kitchen was, plug in the tape recorder, and even hear tapes whatever. Then there weren't Sichos Kiddush, all the Sichos. It was partially unavailable. So I used to write. Likkutei. I couldn't write as fast as I could. I started writing the upbringings.
So you're getting used to the malacha.
What?
So you're training yourself. You trained yourself, whatever,
Yeah.
to write Tanachas a little bit.
In Chofei, there was a while in Chofei that b'shas and upbringing, I used to go to a table. A bocher to sit was not shaykh then, but I took a pad and I wrote b'shas the Rebbe spoke.
During the week.
Yeah, upbringing was during the week. I wrote b'shas Meisa as fast as I could for Shlichus'n.
So you were just doing this for yourself because you wanted to understand.
myself,
Because you wanted to understand the Rebbe. That's basically what you were doing. And the reason why you were listening to the Yuds was not for no reason, just because that's what you had available.
Yeah, but
Right.
yeah, I used to sit sometimes till 6 in the morning, push it 6 hours straight, listening to Fabringas. Yeah,
Yeah.
it wasn't available those years. Everything was a chiddush.
Okay. So
This was Chavod. Chav Zayin and Chav Ches, I was in Ur. Chav Tes, we came to 770.
and then the whole Shlichus'n to Australia happens.
And yeah, at the end. Chav Tes, we learned in 770. In the middle of the winter. I forgot exactly when. I get a tap on my shoulder. Binyamin Klein calls me out of the Zal. That the Rebbe's in Chav Zayin had the Rebbe geschickt the erste Shluch in Australia. My brother was from the Kvutza, 6 Bochum. So this was Chav Tes. So Binyamin said the Rebbe will schicken noch a Kvutza. Eben Maskim zu rufstellen mein Namen in der Regime was der Rebbe wird kleiben.
So
Yeah.
he's asking you to put your name on.
Yeah.
Interesting.
To Noyim, the Eltern darf Maskum sein, and you have no gesund problems, whatever. So versteht sich, I said yes. My Chavrusa Nigel then was Shmuel Kaplan from Baltimore. So he was also. But Benjamin called each one separate when the zweite keine soll nur sein, der andere. So officially, we didn't know each other. We learned together, but the whole winter, when Aver Motuach was geht sein.
Without speaking to each other about it.
Yeah, so just looking at the tension, so we understood ein of them Satan that we both under the same tension. As I say, durch the ganz winter, Shushan Purim, the Rebbe gave then David Raskal Shalom Maschke zu verbringen, machen a Hezvadus Gdel. Ende the Purim verbringen. So Shlichus'n Purim, Chal always, the day after the Grace of Upbringing was a nacht van Yechidus, allemaal. Daar used to nemen Yechidus, alle orgem. So Reb Dove was een cheder sheni. Versteht sich Shlichus'n Purim. Es kwenke Tevlev HaMelech. His vaders g'day, whoa, versteht sich. It's gonna like Yehudim. So, versteht the Bochum were pushing to hand Reb Dove. But in mitten mit am Mall, I was standing there. So Benjamin gives me a tap on the shoulder to go into Chadakov's room. So in Chadakov tells him that Ibn of the Rishima fought in Australia.
Shlichus'n Purim.
Yeah. Herschel Greenberg was eingesund. So he also went, he said he saw the zettel with the Rebbe's, that the Rebbe Tarung geringelde number.
So the Rebbe had a shim of all the Bachrim, and the Rebbe had a circle name.
He said he saw, I think, if I remember correctly, he said he saw the Rebbe's Ksav on the zettel. Whatever. The kids, so this was Shlichus'n Purim. We had to get visas. What happened was the first shluchim went on tourist visas. So when they wanted it, so the government there had changed, once, sie verstanden, sie mahakt a chainik. So they wanted us to come on student visas. A student visa was much more complicated. So it took time until the visas came. We left Shlichus Nissen. No, Shlichus Nissen were in Yechidus. Shlichus Nissen was Thursday. That Thursday, Michal Lipskol Vasholem brought us a Sefer Torah from Morocco. Yom HaKriya, he brought it into the Rebbe's minyan. And we rolled into Kriyas HaTorah. I rolled into 770 for Kriyas HaTorah. I come into the hallway, and I see in the Zaal alle Steine of the bank. Because mit der eingebracht neue Sefer, gesungen Sisa Simcho.
The Rebbe came down.
The Rebbe was davening for Kriyas HaTorah. No, this was upstairs in the Zaal.
Upstairs, okay.
Upstairs in the Zaal. The Rebbe heard Kriya upstairs in the Zaal Monday and Thursday. And some gesungen Sisa Simcho. After davening, then it was the beginning of Nissen. Then the kitchen was in 749. That's where the yeshiva kitchen was. But from the Shlichus Nissen was close to Reiniken for Pesach. So where did the Bochum eat? There were buses that took the Bochum to Betvan and Dean 3 times a day to eat. Breakfast, lunch, and supper. The bus driver was a Polish younger man. His name was Perlman, I think. Perlson, I forgot his name, what his first name was. After davening, Chadakov used to go into the Rebbe. Chadakov came out from the Rebbe's room with a bottle of wine. The Rebbe had zurückgeschickt a bottle of wine, als Michal Lipskel soll verbringen. So Chadakov brought in the bottle of wine to the Zaal and told Michal, soll er wegsetzen verbringen. Meanwhile, this Polish guy, he was sitting of Spilkes. Buchram Geitz, he was trying to drive us to the bus.
To get breakfast.
He had to go to bed. Chadakov came running out of Merkez. The Rebbe gave him als Chol verbringen, man soll nicht gehen. Hat schon verstanden, weißt du, ist etwas. So as Chadakov gave him, soll nicht fahren. So he stayed in the Zaal, upstairs, in the Zaal. Chol hat sich weggesetzt. Am Gang nehmen von der Rebbe's Wein. Everyone wanted a sudden Chaim von Rebbe's Wein. Sitzt ein paar Minuten und plötzlich der Rebbe kommt rein in den Saal. Plötzlich, when geht, Michal was sitting under the windows, facing the Oren Kedish. So the Rebbe is herumgegangen, around, and sat down next to Michal, ongegossen L'chaim von der Wein, geht durch eine Minute 2, Chedish is Elechem Rish Chadoshim, der Rebbe hebt on the Maime. Der Rebbe said, the Maime, Chedish. Plutzel on Achonis. That was Thursday morning, the Shlichus'n. In mitten hat der Rebbe de Mond etwas wegen Sefer Teira, etwas mit Kasche gewinnt, etwas mit Sefer Teira. In the afternoon, so they told us, I'm going to get reingehen auf Yechidus zum Rebbe. We were going after Shabbos to Australia. So we're going in Yechidus noch Mincha. Told us the Rebbe geht uns geben matzah. So we should prepare paper bags to put on the matzah. So kach after Mincha, we all went into Yechidus, into the Rebbe's room. The Rebbe was by his desk. The Rebbe said the Sichos is printed already. And then the Rebbe said we should take matzah. Jeder soll nehmen a shleime mit a prusa. The Rebbe didn't give us matzah. The box was in the back of the room. Jeder soll gehen nehmen allein. A shleime mit a prusa. Then the Rebbe gave us geld of more schitem in Eretz Yisrael in Australia. He gave every one of us a 20, a 10, a 5, and a 1. $36.
In American currency.
American currency, yeah. This was Thursday after Mincha. I don't remember who werd verzeichnet the Yechidus and gave him to the Rebbe. The Rebbe was Magir the Yechidus Thursday afternoon. Thursday night was officially at Seischem Sholem with Tam HaYeshiva from the Bochum. So the Rebbe gave out the Sicha Muge in time for the Seischem Sholem. There was mamish like 7-8 lines of Ksav Yad, Ha'odas and Marmakemis on the Gedicht geschrieben. Ik denk, the Rebbe started off as we sheen durch the Kol HaSchols Koshes.
There was the kvutzes already.
The first, yeah, but here kennen uftan Kohena ve Kohena. So the words Kohena ve Kohena, the Rebbe zeichnet the Gemara in Sanhedrin. Reb Sholem, all of Sholem, mit dem Bechavgens allein and so versteht sich af and he said what the Gemara in Sanhedrin is. Am meisten, wie viel Weiber Shleime Melch hat genommen Kohena ve Kohena epis. Am Achlekes in Gemara, wie viel Weiber das meint Kohena ve Kohena. But Ike Reichkeit was this word I always like to chaza. When the Rebbe on the piece where the Rebbe said I get more chitim of Australia, so the Rebbe geschrieben Ayin, the Alte Rebbe Shulchan Aruch, Simetov Kuf Chavtes, Sivov, if I remember. Dorten, the Alte Rebbe read, and man kommt in a Stadt, wenn es wird man mechuyev zu geben more chitim. Dorten steht, als eben lebt in der Stadt 30 Tage wird man mechuyev zu geben. Sivov heeft dan altijd bij mij dwarm amuren, eben komt logur schon. Aber der was kommt am naslish takeya, mischayev miyad.
Yeah.
So this is the word. Officially we went for 2 years. We were coming home after 2 years.
Right.
Hat Rebbe geschrieben, nein, unser Moschiten, wir haben nach dem von Likkutei. There's no such thing in a Shlichus'n von Rebbe temporary. Just before the 5 minutes is das a kvies ladel el meilom. Das ein Wort. Na, sie ist das a chassidisch hergisch, aber das a psag den lamaise poshut.
Yeah. So before we go back to Australia, I forgot to ask you something. I just want to move back a little bit before we continue to Australia. There was a story that you had with, I think it was in Yechidus, about Lamud Chayil with yourself. Can you tell me about that a little bit?
Yeah. When Yechidus, yeah. I asked the Rebbe, yeah. My parents wanted me to finish high school. My mother mainly. I wanted to quit English. Oh, which year was it? I think it was the sum of Chofei. I asked the Rebbe, I wanted to quit English, but my parents don't want. So the Rebbe said I should talk mit mein Rosh Yeshiva soll reden mit meinen Eltern. Yeah, I learned them by Yankel Shreil also. He spoke to them, but he didn't get anywhere. Then was Rabbi Tenenbaum also. He was the Menal. He had Jägerpeilt with a dreh. The next year, there was a whole Geschäft. It's a question of skipping a class, because the yeshiva wanted to take half the kita and skip them a class. Somehow I've been telling him eingeredet my Eltern that if I stop going to English, he'll be able to skip me. So pale, that's what happened. So I didn't finish English, so I skipped out of English. This was going into Toshan Chovov. So that's the whole mice.
That's what happened.
That's what happened.
No, that's interesting. So, let's go back to Australia. So you had the Rebbe's Hagais with the Musar Haskell. And then you went to Australia.
We went to Australia.
You were there for 2 years.
2 years, yeah. Till Toshan Lamed Aleph.
Anything you want to mention from that tkufa that's important? You were there, you learned, you were with the Kehillah.
Yeah. There were 6 Bochum, and they did all the other Bochum learned in the yeshiva. There was no official Rosh Yeshiva yet in yeshiva. So every from the 6 Bochum, each one taught 3 or 4 Bochum. Nigla and Chassidus. Came Rosh Yeshivas. Whatever. There for 2 years. We came back right before Yud Aleph Nissen, Toshan Lamed Aleph. We had an interesting story coming back. In Australia, there was a Yid, Reb Isa Kluvgant. He was the Rebbe's cousin. Kluvgant was from the Janowski family, I believe. He had an older brother, Meir, who was left in Russia. But they had B'Yerusha a pair of tefillin miyuchas to the Baal Shem Tov when Rebbe Yisroel went out with all the Rosh Yeshiva. So this pair of tefillin was by his older brother Meir.
In Russia?
In Russia. When Rebbe Yisroel left Russia, so his older brother said he doesn't want to keep the tefillin here because, well, who knows what's going to be. So he gave it to him to take out of Russia. So this pair of tefillin was by in Rebbe Yisroel's Rishus. Then his older brother was nifter in Russia. So he yashened the tefillin. This happened right before we came back. So he decided, solche tefillin darf man schicken dem Rebbe. Got the chassidische Hergish. So he decided he's going to send back the tefillin with us.
Baal Shem Tov's tefillin.
To send the tefillin. But so our kvutza, Herschel Greenberg was like, because he was the ältere Bochum. He was like the eldest from all of us. So he picked him and told him, hey, I'm making you a shliach to bring the tefillin to the Rebbe. But he told him that he wrote to the Rebbe, he wants that soll nicht geben durch the maskiris. Soll geben dem Rebbe yad b'yad. So we came back. So we wrote to the Rebbe, wir sind angekommen. And Herschel wrote to the Rebbe, als hat the tefillin für Rebbe Yisroel. Und Rebbe Yisroel hat ihm gesagt, soll geben dem Rebbe in Hand. So yes, the Rebbe, when soll das geben? The Rebbe wrote back, Yud Aleph Nissen Achri Tfil Shachris. It was the next day in the morning. The Rebbe went to the ale. So, Baskis told us we should all be waiting on Neden HaTachten before the Rebbe goes out to the ale. So we were all standing there. Herschel had the tefillin. Then Lamed Aleph was the time when the Rebbe gekocht Kibbutz Eilam al Yedei Limud HaTeira. And the Rebbe had spoken Shabbos HaGodel, a Sicha, Pesach, and so ganz Pesach lernen über Mesav sein und Limud HaTeira. Behemd zu Kibbutz. The Rebbe was Magia, the Stickel of the Sicha. So when we were in Gan Eden Tachten, the Rebbe had the Micht of Kloli from Yena Pesach. He gave each one of us the Micht of Kloli on the Kette from the Sicha. And Heschel had it film. The Rebbe was standing in the doorway of Gan Eden Elyon. The Rebbe took a step forward towards us, but he kept his foot that the door should not slam. Später habe ich verstanden, because when Heschel gave the Rebbe, so the Rebbe took the tefillin with two hands. So he didn't want to use one hand to keep the door. So he shouldn't have to open the door with the handle with his hand. So after he took the tefillin, he kicked the door back open with his foot, and he went in with the tefillin. But what happened was, when we were coming to New York, so we stopped in Hawaii. We went through customs in Hawaii. So when we went through customs, we all had our tefillin in our handbag. And they checked our handbags. So, when some mamzer dorten by the customs, he made everyone open up the tefillin bags and take out the tefillin from the shedlach. Efter dorten liegen diamonds, the only tefillin that they didn't just open was the Baal Shem Tov's son.
Oh. I think I read somewhere that it was like the Bachrim were able to look at it.
What?
Like for a day or two, it was like the Bachrim were able to look at it.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I read that somewhere.
I don't remember that.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the Alter Rebbe's tefillin.
Oh, maybe I'm mixing up. The Alter Rebbe's tefillin.
The Alter Rebbe's tefillin, I believe, was Toshon Chovov. There was a Yid from Montreal, his name was Zalman Gorevich. And he brought from Varsha the Alter Rebbe's tefillin. Then the Chafetzim from the Rebbeim were in Varsha. And you were able to get stuff out of there. In a museum there, you were able to get it out. That's why there's a lot of Xavier Kedish from the Frierdiker Rebbe, was some Gewalget. It was taken from there, from Varsha. He brought the Rebbe the tefillin. I believe it was Asor B'Tevis Tovshan Chovov. The Rebbe had damals gesagt, at Rüzgeschickt the tefillin, I think it was after Mincha, and he said, I forgot who was holding him, he said, jeder eine bekenne kusht on the tefillin, me geht the mikveh free. So after Mincha, there was a long line, and was durchgegangen. That I remember. I was a bocher in Bedford still.
I mixed up, okay.
But the Baal Shem Tov's film, I don't remember.
And those are in the library?
It was in the library. It's in the library, yeah. I remember the Alter Rebbe's film. There was a whole thing with the shin on the Shel Rosh. The tzur of the shin was different than the way the Sofrim used to do it. So there were bochrim who took aluminum foil to make, to press it on the film to be able to get aufgappen the tzir of the shin. There was a Batemachem in Montreal, I forgot his name, and they sent it to him that when he makes the shin, will noch machen dem shin. Nowadays, alle machen shin dem shin.
So that's the shin that we use is based on that.
The chiluk was in the bottom of the shin. A mole. First, there was like a V, an upside down V, and from the bottom, on the top of the V, they made drei strichelig. But Alter Rebbe's film was taken like this, but it was a very long regel. Amol wasn't a long regel. It was like, it didn't come to a point.
Didn't go down.
Bottom. It was like flat on the bottom. It was like a upside down box like this. The bottom was flat.
So not pointy.
Not pointy. But now the bottom of the shin it's a long regel.
Right.
Das gedenk ich von der Alter Rebbe's film.
So you come back from the Shlichus'n, So this is Tav Shalom Alf Yud Alf Nissen. B'yem HaShteyasa. It's
The B'yem HaShteyasa.
surprise for
Remember the
bringing.
surprise for bringing, I think.
Yeah.
Surprise for bringing.
And you stayed in 770 till you got married.
I stayed in Simpson, yeah.
So
Then was Shnas HaShivim, Tav
Yeah.
Shalom Beis.
what do you want to share about Shnas HaShivim?
So that's when the Bochum made, as even the Rebbe a matona dem Rebbe. So the matona the Bochum made then that we should learn after Seder. The Seder Sichos, 70 minutes after Seder, from 9:30 to 10 to 11.
So that was something that you were involved in,
Yeah.
in starting.
That was a younger Bochum, yeah.
And the Rebbe was Messiachis to this thing?
I don't remember.
Something about the 10% from the Keren HaShivim?
What?
10% from the Keren HaShivim?
Oh, that was something. We'll soon get to it.
Okay, what was that?
1 second.
Okay.
This was Dos Ashir. So we learned Sichos. Became a big kochel Likkutei Sichos by the Bochum. But that's how Horas HaTmimim began. From this learning, the Sichos, so versteht sich so. Started, it's gewoon gepulpel und sag, fragen und empfen. Zwischen sich.
In 770, da ist das
Yeah, the
Film.
Bochum in 770. I forgot wem is eingefallen. Das, am soll drucken, Shlichus'n in the Sichos. So mit auch getyped a blättel. And we stenciled it. I don't know if I can explain what a stencil machine is. A blue stencil, ein blättel. And we used to voneinander throw the blättel on the tables in 770. Das ist das. Also ist gegangen für half Nissen through the summer. Ich denke nicht, wer ist eingefallen. Altein ist eingefallen, man soll machen von der alle Blättlach machen nach Kuntres. So from this, so there was a Mareches. Nachman was on the Mareches. I was on the Mareches. Zalmo Shansky overscholen. Mit ausgeklebten Haores, was mir getragen, were bessere Haores. Und mit das auch getyped. A Kuntres. And we wrote a Pesach Dover. And we geschrieben dem Rebbe, we wrote the Rebbe that we want to print a Kuntres from all the Haores. And we gave him to the Rebbe a copy of the Sharblat, of the cover. It said Haores HaTmimim. And we said Narische Bochum was eingewehen. Wrote the Rebbe as we will drucken the Kuntres. Das darf kosten berg $600. That's all. So the Rebbe, by Haores HaTmimim, the Rebbe geschrieben, for was is man scheel andere? Ganz anash.
Nash.
So that's why I changed the Haores HaTmimim of anash. And I know it said $600. So the Rebbe wrote 10% from mosquitoes, ki b'shar ayin alef mezes.
Wow.
Es was mein Rebbe na Mesid, meint a grese Binyan, a grese Yeshiva, a grese Shul, a grese Beis Chabad. Bochum machen geschrieben, Horas, von Sichos, so geworden eine von der 1,5 Meses. Mein Rebbe ist geworden Teil wieder ein. Es ist interessant. Von dem, was ist rausgewachsen von dem? Heintige Zeiten, Horas, wie viel Horas drucken sich auf von Rebbe Sichos? Tausende Kontreisen haben sie gedruckt von dem. Es ist geworden eine Nitzchi, und Dedes von dem.
Yeah. Many meisters.
What?
Many meisters. Yeah. So is that how you got involved in
No, so
in
this
the
was
Sichos?
Toshel Lamed Beis.
Yeah.
Toshel Lamed Gimel, noch als gewend der meist was der Rebbe. Jene Jahr hat doch der Rebbe nicht Magie gewend der Sichos. Lamed Beis.
Lamed Beis. There's no Sichos. No Sichos.
Aber im Beginn Lamed Gimel hat der Rebbe angegeben noch einmal Magie sein.
What krachim are we talking about?
What?
Which Krachim in Likkutei Sichos?
When?
Like Lamed Gimel. Like what is it? Which Krachim is that?
Lamed Gimel, it was Chiluk Yud.
Heel. Okay.
The Rebbe started from Breishis, being Magia. I used to dreizig a lot in the Vad. I was close with Nachman, so I used to dreizig a lot.
So Nachman was already doing
Nachman was
it.
already in the Vad already.
He's older than you.
What?
He's older than you. He was a younger man. He was a bacher.
Lamed Gimel, he was a younger man already.
Okay.
I think so, I'm pretty sure. I love Dafka. Yeah, I think he was already a younger man. I was surely a bocher. So I used to dreizig a lot there, whatever. En dan weet ik, Lamed Gimel, Bench overstaan, had toegesteld, at het einde, Lamed Bees, want daar hebben we het toegeheerd. Maar hier zijn, so Bench had toegesteld een nieuwe wat zo great in de Sichos.
Ben Shemtiv.
Bench Shemtiv. Level Spiro, level Kappen overstaan.
Because he felt that we needed a new vad in order for the Rebbe to start.
The Rebbe was verbunden with Sefer Erkim, no?
The Rebbe wanted to be able to focus on Sefer Erkim, so maybe the bench made a new
So
vad.
Bencher said so that from Naya Gevra. I'm all in getracht, ken ik als een shaykh Chutz Rebbe.
Right.
Maar Bencher, weißt du? Sie hat weggestellt der neue Vad und der Rebbe das angenommen und der Rebbe dann eben Magie sein. I forgot when the Rebbe stopped being Magie. I think it was Pesach Zeit Lamed Gimel. The Rebbe stopped for a few weeks, but then the Rebbe started again. I forgot exactly how it happened at Leibel Shapiro Chatchila. That's when they offered him the Rosh Yeshiva in Miami. So the question was, he couldn't be with the Kenneton beide Sachen. So if I remember correctly, he said if he has someone af een oord door, some helfen hebben, then felt hij Kenneton beide. So that's when I went into they asked me to come work in the Vad, work on the Sichos.
So you're a bacher.
Still a bacher, in the Lamed Gimels, in the middle, summer Lamed Gimel. But what happened then, later on, in Ov, had the Rebbe genommen Leibel Kappen over schon geschickt in Tzfas. So then there was a void, official void. So that's how I came into the Tzudarbet.
That's how you became,
Yeah.
very involved.
Yeah, Lamed Gimel, Lamed Daled.
So what's the job of Vadavat Sichos? So what do you have to do?
You have great in the Sichos of Agor.
So what does that mean?
Nemen a Sicha, was a Shaykh zu der Woche, und zugreifen von der Rebbe of Agor.
So you had all the hanachas of all the years? How do you do it?
Yeah, of course we had Hanochs. We had regimes of Sichos were Shaykh to a certain Shara. In other words, we had regimes like for Pasha Breishis, you can use this Sicha. Or Pasha Neich.
So the Vad would make these reshimis?
We had it by ourselves. I forgot how the regime started. We used to bled the Sichos. We saw a Sicha. I'm all Shabbos, laying in a Sach Jordan, and you saw a Sicha that's not printed, it's not Mogiyet, but it can be used for a certain Pasha. So we added the Rishima, so the Rishima became bigger and bigger.
Mm-hmm. So the Aveda is to take a Sicha.
What?
So can you describe to me like what the process is of the Sicha?
I can't describe it, no.
You can't, meaning you won't, or
No, I can't.
You can't. What does it mean?
I don't know how to describe it.
Okay. If you can't, you can't. So what was the...
I'll just give you one small word. A simple observation, wie man sagt das. Lahavdil Elef Avdolos, I'm saying. Let's imagine Albert Einstein came into a classroom of teenagers, and he threw a sentence, and that sentence is gelegen sein größer Chedushim in physics or whatever it was, but he said as a sentence that a teenager can repeat it. And let's say the teenager, someone has a good mind, a good zikoron, and he writes down the sentence. Ist das Einstein? Darf man sagen, Kongress nicht zu verstehen. Es ist Idiotism.
Mhm.
Verstehe, der Rebbe gerät a Sach, Nigel, Chassidus, whatever it was, Arashi, whatever it is. Wenn der Rebbe, der Indien, bei einem Rebbe ist gewinn, verstehst, imagine you have a Yid mit Kol HaTeira Kula, and he says this one line, zum Masbe sein Arashi, is was liegt in them, that one line. Versteht doch allein. In order to understand what that line really means, so first you have to learn the sugya mit alle meforshim ad yachi yodi magas. And then, and that line can have layers and layers. So ohne even können verstehen, wo da liegt in die Schule, verstehst? I'm just trying to explain it in a way that you should be able to understand what I'm saying.
You're saying this is the function of Likkutei Sichos.
Yes. A transcript was the Rebbe gesagt, but try to understand was the Rebbe da gesagt takke. Was hat der Rebbe takke da gesagt? Das verstehst du? Am Ratzim, verstehst du? So wie viel Zeit hat genommen zu lernen, zu gehen darum, zu gehen darum, zu gehen uneben trachten, etwas, a hurdle one layer deeper than the simple pshat, what the Rebbe said. Und einmal hab ich nicht verstanden, hab ich gekannt fragen dem Rebbe, that was one of the größten Sachen, wie Rabbi fliegt uns erzählen, that leicht noch nicht schwat. So gewinnt sicher, der Rebbe wird rausgeben, der Ksaf von der Maimorem.
Write it.
Yeah.
Like the Rebbeim did.
Der Maimorem und der Zchus. Und der Rebbe gesagt, nein. Ich will nicht gehen auf Chazore, nur man soll machen haben noch es. So he used to say, von dem ist rausgekommen, als man kennt überfragen dem Rebbe, hin und zurück, again and again, bis die Sache ist klar geworden. Verstehst?
So, and that was a big part of the...
So that's the first line. You want a description. I can't describe it. I'm just explaining one small nekuda wegen was es gehandelt hat.
Right. So,
wie viel man gedacht lernen before we could even start preparing the Sikha.
and the asking the questions was often.
Sure.
Even though the Sichos could have been from years before.
Yeah, sure.
Mm-hmm. And what was the process of? There was how many agoyis? Like, can you take me through the basic process of how
The Rebbe was Magia every Sikha 2 times. So it's hard to describe nowadays what a typewriter is. It's like telling people what a dinosaur is. But used to type up the Sikha. You look in Sichos Kedish now, the old Sichos Kedish. So you see what a typewriter looked like. So he used to give in the Sikha double space, a lot of space between the lines. So the Rebbe would edit it, so he had a lot of space in between on the side of the paper. That would be the Hagon number 1. After the Rebbe was Megillah the first time the Sikha, then it went to the printer. It was typeset. In those years, typesetting was not like today when you print a sefer, everything you do on the computer. You had all the graphics are on the computer. In those years, the machines for printing were called linotype machines. Linotype machines was based, it was hot metal, like burning hot, soft, and when you typed, it imprinted a piece of metal, one line. On that one line, it imprinted whatever you typed in. So one line at a time, one shoot at a time was typed. So let's say your page, you had columns. You would type, let's say, a whole column. But when you typed it, it was one thin column. So a sicha, let's say, is 8 pages, let's say. 8 pages. Every page has 2 columns, 16 columns. But in the original, it was one long 16 columns, one long thing of 16 columns long of type. So, in order to proofread it, if there were mistakes on the typing, so the printing shops had a machine that it would take this long, let's say 16 pages, one long 16-page, one column, and it would come out on a long sheet of paper. A thin column, a long column. This was called galleys. That's what it used to be called. This was all books were printed that way at that time. So when you proofread it, you read through that long column. If you found a mistake, so there was a mistake on that line. So how do you correct it? So the printer had to retype that one line, and then he had to go through the metal, all the metals, find the line of metal that had the mistake, throw it out, and replace it with the new one. And then obviously he made another one to see maybe when he retyped it, he made a mistake. That was the second proofreading. So the Rebbe was, after the Sicha was typeset, so first we proofread it ourselves, and simple typos were corrected, and then another one was made until it was clear from all print typos. And then it went into the Rebbe for a second time, the galleys, a set of galleys of the whole Sicha, the Sicha itself, with the Marmar came as separate. The Rebbe would then edit a second time the Sicha. This wasn't for proofreading. The proofreading was done already. And here's a lot of times the Rebbe, dafka on the second time, would write whole inyonim that weren't on the first Hagor. That was the second. A lot of times the Rebbe would write a piece, for example, short, concise, and Lashon Kodesh, and he would say, to translate this into Yiddish, ulaharchev, which is not word for word, but expand it. It should be written out. They would say to add maramakemus. A lot of times you can see on the first Hagor, sometimes they would write a short piece. He would leave like a little circle on the side. The circle always meant that the Rebbe was going to go over it again a second time. A lot of times when the Rebbe wrote a Maramokim, the Rebbe wrote a Maimah Chazal, and he didn't write the Maramokim, but he would leave a little circle to fill in the Maramokim. And then, after the Hagor, we didn't understand something, we would ask the Rebbe, and sometimes the Rebbe would magir a third time.
Not always.
What?
Not always.
Not always. Sometimes, in other words, sometimes the Rebbe just answered the question, but sometime after the Rebbe answered the question, so that caused that whole pieces had to be rewritten.
Right, so if nothing needed to be rewritten, then
nothing had to be written major, so then
right.
written, but if something major had to be rewritten, so we could ask the Rebbe a third time, and the Rebbe would something Magia a third time, certain pieces at least.
Mm-hmm. And you were only working on the zchus, not on the Maimarim?
No, only the Sichos.
Only Likkutei Sichos.
Yeah, only Likkutei Sichos.
So you were involved in Chazara and writing Hanachas,
a little
like that.
bit. Sometimes certain times I wrote certain. I worked a little bit, and sometimes in some Hanachas I wrote Seifel Hanachas B'Yiddish and Seifel Lahak. A little bit, very little bit.
Once in a while. So I want to ask you maybe specific sichos. So first of all, there's a sicha of Tafshem and Beis with something to do with the Rebbetzin.
And Beis?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
So when the Rebbe spoke a sicha b'kasher, the Rebbetzin had a injury.
I'm not sure. Could be when the Rebbetzin fell. And then it was Chamishos above, the Rebbe said, Hadanon Lehoy Yom Tevin Yisrael. And the Rebbe wanted to be Magia the Sikh, the Hadanon, Hamsich the Tainus. I forgot which year it was.
So it's connected to the Rebbetzin?
As I even gelernt Yom.
Why? Chamishas above.
Yeah.
Okay. And also, so you were doing this as a bacher, but then you got married in the middle. How did you end up doing this afterwards?
Well, I worked Lamed Gimel, Lamed Daled, then Tovsh Lamed Hey. Again, the Rebbe stopping Magia Sichos. But the Rebbe said in the beginning of Tovsh Lamed Hey, we soll Rüß geben Hanoche Bulti Muge. So the Rebbe geheißen. So we started in the beginning of Tovsh Lamed Hey. Every week we printed a Sicha. Bulti Muge.
The Vad did this.
Yeah. What was interesting, a lot of those Sichos, after Shabbos, the Likkut was printed. The Rebbe sent out the Likkut with a hashmota, a new ha'ora on the Sicha. As the Rebbe showed a gewisse Tayekite to them.
Yeah.
Even though it was built in Muga, but the Rebbe added ha'oras on the Sichos. In later years, we used a lot of these Sichos for Likkutei Sichos. That the Rebbe was Magia.
Later on.
Regularly, later years, yeah.
So
at the end of Tovsh Lamed Hey, when it came to Tovsh Lamed Vov, so we decided, let me prove noch mal, if the Rebbe Magia, or neben Magia sein noch einmal.
you're already a younger man at this point.
What?
You're already a younger man at this point.
Yeah, I got married Kislev Lamed Hey, yeah.
And there's a question if you should stay in the sichos or.
When I went into Yechidus in my Chasana, I asked the Rebbe if I should go into Keilu. I was a dropout, like I said, because of the Sichos. So I didn't keep Siddur HaYeshiva because I was already working full time on the Sichos. So what happened was, to go into the Keilu, you needed a zettel from Anhola that your Shema has Dorim. It wasn't a Shema has Dorim. Rabbi Mental told me, I'm going to give you a zettel anyway. That the Imam says should take me into Keilu. When I went to Yechidus, I asked the Rebbe if I should go to Keilu. The Rebbe didn't answer me. Nish nein, nish yeah. What was my shaila? My shaila was because I didn't write it clear to the Rebbe, but my machshava was that should I go into the Keilu, I should stay in the Sichos, even though the Rebbe is not being Magia the Sichos, or Sof Kusof, the Rebbe will the Sichos on Rizgain. So that was the premise of the shaila. The Rebbe didn't answer me. So in mein Kopf is gewinn poshet. The Rebbe will nicht sagen, geh nicht in Keilu zu meine Sichos. Hop Seichel allein. That was the way I understood it. So I never went into Keilu.
Straight to the Sichos.
I stayed with the Zchus. So in Toshen Lamed Vov, haben geprüft noch einmal.
To start the Haggadah.
What?
That the Rebbe should be Magia again.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the Rebbe, no, unkind, he just started being Magia the Sicha. We gave him the Sicha, there was Magia. Killed Beifen Tivi, unkin Tadaram. So from Toshen Lamed Vov, that's when I started again working on the Zchus, no? From Toshen Lamed Vov to Toshen Beis.
There was no hefsek in the Sichos.
No hefsek.
Every single week.
Every single week. Till Vayakel Nun Beis, yeah.
The Yakel.
The last.
That was the last
Likkut,
one. Yeah.
Before Chassidim.
It was always interesting to me to look in Hanachas. Sometimes you can see that the Rebbe references something in the Farbrengen that touches upon something that's in that week's Likkut.
Mhm.
Like once in a while you see such things. Yeah, does that make sense?
What?
Sometimes in the Farbrengens you can see something that's
Could be.
connected to
Sometimes.
So it's a very interesting thing. The Rebbe has Farbrengens every week. There's new Farbrengens, and there's a whole
A separate line comes up.
yeah. It's like a separate line of the Rebbe's Torah coming out also every
Mhm.
week. I think that was a big kach every week. There's new
Mhm.
Torah from the Rebbe. What can you
100%.
tell me about the hashka that you saw the Rebbe putting into the Sichos?
In Derech HaTeva, what the Rebbe wrote befedish, the reason why the Rebbe stopped at the end of Toshen Lamed Daled was because it was taking too much, the Hago was taking too much time. He wrote befedish. Toshen Lamed Gimel Lamed Daled, the years that it was in Loshen Kodesh, originally, it was very, 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 a lot of Hagor. You saw Begashmias, wie viel der Rebbe hat reingelegt dort. Geschrieben, ewig geschrieben. I think it was much more than in the later years. I think after Chavbei Shvat, the Rebbe stopped being Magir twice to Sichos. I think, I'm not 100% sure.
Stopped being?
Stopped twice, only once. I don't remember clear.
So you're saying that Pasha it took Begashmis, it took a lot of the Rebbe's time.
Yes, there's no question.
And how quickly would the Rebbe, like what was the say that how quickly did the Rebbe was the Haggadah?
A lot of times they saw the Rebbe taking it home at night and coming the next morning with the Likkut. So he was up a whole night. I don't know how many hours.
There was a time that the Rebbe
In the
worked.
later years, when the Rebbe was Magir the Maimorim, so they saw those who were standing on Gan Eden at Tachten. The Rebbe would come out in the middle of the night and put out a sich in the middle of the night, 2 in the morning. Yes, Chaim Shol, I'll tell you.
Yeah, we had him on.
What?
He
You had him,
we
so
did,
you know all
we
the
did an
details.
interview.
Okay.
I think there was a time that the Rebbe also was Magia Maimer, like on Leil Tisha B'Av.
I don't know if it was Magir the Maimer. He wrote a Ha'orim. It wasn't on the Maimer. It was on the Hadden. Cheluk Yudal, Likkutei Sichos, I believe. The Rebbe said a Hadron,
Yudalef?
give me Yudalit.
Yudalid?
Yudalit. Hey Menachemov. In Siyumim.
Yeah. About making Siyumim.
Yeah. No, not about. The Rebbe said to see him. I'm sich the brochen me it cotton. Then the Rebbe see what here. Give a cook door. So here, the whole chiluk. See, it says Talmidei Chachomim Elam or the Tzadikim.
She's saying that was done on Tisha B'Av.
So one of these ha'oros.
Mm-hmm.
Forgot which one. The Rebbe sent out Lil Tisha B'Av noch Meidev.
After Eicha.
What?
After Eicha.
After Eicha. Remember Leibel going over Sholem? He was mamash meshuga.
Never happened before.
Lil Tisha B'Av.
So, and there's
Because
some...
I remember he was again daite bedichel. So he told us stories then. I remember he told us he worked at noch gearbeitet bei Rebbe noch in Tovshin Yud noch 5 years Shvat. He told us then about one time a kuntus came out. A kuntus of my morim, and the Rebbe sent him to Balshon,
The printer.
to print. But the Kitzurim weren't ready yet.
The Frierdiker Rebbe's Heimarim.
Yeah, and the Rebbe told him to wait. He'll soon have the Kitzurim. The Rebbe gave him the Kitzurim. He said, the Kitzurim, the Rebbe wrote, K'odam ha'esav teich sholei. The Kitzurim was like the Rebbe's Kitzurim.
Right.
I remember he told us Leil Tisha B'Av. I remember clear.
So those are...
He wasn't like he was such an spileless from the Rebbe sent out. So he told us stories.
He told us this Indian. So that's when...
So he told us that the Kitzurim, the Rebbe gave the Kitzurim. It was typed, but the Hagos, the Rebbe was magiyat with, added it and with Hesofus, with his Ksav. Kodam ha'esav teich sholei.
Was it written by the Rebbe?
I don't know. I'm just saying this is what I remember.
Right.
If it was like a Chilu written by the Rebbe, das weiß ich nicht.
I think I heard people theorize that. I don't know.
They theorize it. But he said that when the Rebbe gave it to him to bring to the printer, the Hagos on it was like Kodam ha'esav teich sholei. The Rebbe rewrote pieces, mamash Kodam ha'esav teich sholei.
Besides the Likkutei Sichos, there was also sometimes that the Rebbe asked a certain Sicha to be prepared for Hagar. Right?
What?
For example, there's like a Sicha on the Indian.
On?
Like on the Indian, there's a Sicha about not getting operations before before Shabbos, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
It's in Hesavos Likkutei Sichos. It's in the back, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's not this regular format of Likkutei Sichos. Is that something that the Rebbe asked the Vad to prepare? These type of things?
A lot of those things were prepared for Hamor or Hapardes.
So that was done by the Vad?
No. Rabbi Leibel used to prepare these things. Like in Yonash Teres Chassidus.
Right.
Or the Hadron on the Rambam.
Mm-hmm.
So it was printed the first time in Hapardes.
Which Hadron?
You say this. The Hadron al Rambam, the famous Hadron al Rambam.
Mm-hmm.
The Rebbe said it Tovshem Lamed Hey, I think.
Yeah. But it was many years later.
Many years later.
Like Memhe, I think.
It was printed in Memhe.
Mm-hmm.
But it was the first time it was Hamuge. It was in for Hapardes and Lamed Hey.
Then B'shaite.
Yeah. Kemat short.
Mm-hmm. So that was this is a different Indian that wasn't part of the Vad. But there also
I think the Hadron on the Rambam was a whole story. If I remember correctly, Shapsi Slavetitsky was eingesund. Ist stark gewollt, der Rebbe soll Magier sein, der Sicher. So he made an aricha on the Sicher, and he gave him to the Rebbe, and asked the Rebbe to be Magier.
On his own?
I think so.
He was a bacher?
He was a bacher. I don't know if he was a bacher. I don't know exactly. Der Rebbe ist nicht gefallen geworden, wie das ganz zugegerät. Und der Rebbe ist Rabbi Leibel to make the aricha.
Mm-hmm.
I think there was Magiat a couple of times. More than 2 times. But then, the Rebbe was only... Rabbi Leibel not zugegräbt the Onebs von Rambam. Nicht the Hadran.
The Unibs,
The beer and the Onibs Rambam.
not the whole thing.
Not the whole thing.
Mhm.
Hey, when it was the first big Siyum HaRambam, hab mir getracht, wo Covid der erste größte Siyum HaRambam, soll man betten der Rebbe zum Magier herausgeben das. So then, so we added the piece on the end of the Rambam, and the Shinuyim with Hilchos Shuva. So we added that. And the Rebbe was Magier. Then that's when the Kuntas came out.
Hadden.
Yeah.
You also did some Emarim, no? The Chadedi.
What?
The Chadedi.
Chodedi, yeah.
That was the only one?
Yeah, I don't remember doing any other. Chodedi. Why did I do Chodedi? I don't
The
remember.
famous Maimer, the Chassidim Maimer. Every Chassid Chazes.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you end up doing that?
Why did I end up doing it? I don't remember. I also don't remember how it happened.
It's a hard Maimer.
Maybe Herschel Notik remembers.
Okay, we'll have to ask him.
What's interesting about the Chodedi is, chutz what the Rebbe added, to sein von alle Rabbeim, but the main thing was in the Pesach Dove. In the Pesach Dove, we geschrieben, am Gid the Ruz the Maime, the Rebbe's Maime Chodedi, was some used of Frierdiker Rebbe's Maime. So the Rebbe wrote Kenirim used. That was the
Kenida.
the Kenira. Du verstehst, was ist mir used, du verstehst. Getting back to versteht, Rebbe verstehst.
Right. And that's the Maimer that Frierdiker Rebbe said by the Rebbe's Chassid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Rebbe said, Kenirim used. That was the...
Yeah. The Paya when the Rebbe gave out the Drushi Chasana, the Rebbe gave it out, Tafshin and Beis, with all the Maimarim from the Chasana, it's in there.
Yeah.
So, Keniretz Miyusid. Was there anything you were able to see Keiches that the Rebbe invested into the Fabrengens before?
What?
Was there anything you were able to see, like how the Rebbe invested Keiches into the Fabrengens before the Fabrengens? Something that you saw in the Arbit?
That you have to ask people who knew what was doing by the Rebbe in the house on the Simon.
Right. Okay, so I want to ask you a question. A lot of people ask me this.
What?
Not a lot of people ask, not me. A lot of people ask, B'chlal, what's the? I asked Rabbi Leibel Shapiro about this, but what's the Lashon Kodesh or Yiddish? And then it changed. Was there any like? I heard there was no Hira from the Rebbe about it,
No,
but was there?
It wasn't Hira. There was a bikush. But a lot of Yidden didn't understand Yiddish. Svardische Yidden. There was a big bikush. We soll machen nicht auf Yiddish, Lashon Kodesh. A big demand.
So therefore, it got changed.
Poshet.
Okay, so the last thing I want to ask you about the zchus is that a number of people told me that in the later years, specifically, I don't know, Nalef, Nubez, that you used to do chazara. And that a lot of people, I interviewed somebody who B'chlal didn't even speak English then, but he went to your chazara in English. That was the best chazara. So how did that start?
I don't know how it happened, I'll be honest with you. I don't remember how it happened.
And specifically in English, like
I said, I don't remember how.
Someone asked you.
I forgot how it happened. I have no idea. I don't remember these things.
Okay, so besides working on Likkutei Sichos, you also did the chazara every week. Okay. So I want to ask you some personal things. So first of all, moving away from the Sichos back to the other things. So you lived in 706 Eastern Parkway.
Yes.
For many years. So I heard that there's a Maisa with the Rebbitzin at 706.
You know, the Rebbitzin was close with Rebbitzin Rifkin. You know that.
Better Rifkin.
Better Rifkin, yeah.
He lived in the building.
Better Rifkin lived in the building on my floor, gerade. few doors. So when Rabbi Rivkin passed away, and she was sitting shiva, the Rebbe came to 760 with Menachem Ovel.
The Rebbe walked.
The Rebbetzin.
Oh, the Rebbetzin came.
The Rebbetzin came to Menachem, not the Rebbe, the Rebbetzin. I was punkt walking out of the building, and the Rebbetzin came. So she stopped me and she asked me if I know where the Rivkin's apartment is.
You ever spoke to her before? Never.
So I said, ich weiß. And I went into 706. I went with her in the elevator to the third floor. And I showed her which door it is. That was the extent of the Maisa with the Rebbetzin. After we got married, Toshon Lamed Hey, we got married in Kislev. I remember it was Shabbos Chanukah. So Lil Shabbos, so we were going to 770 for Kabbalah Shabbos. So I was walking with my Rebbetzin out of 706 towards 770. It was very quiet. I don't know. And I don't know. I got the feel. So I turned around. The Rebbe was coming to shul behind me. So as versteht we walked on the side. Never told us good Shabbos, whatever. That kleine Schmeichel. I think, ich gedenk this, but my Rebbetzin gedenkt this, that once our kids were playing in front of the house.
In front of the building?
In front of the building with a ball, and someone threw the ball up and was rolling on the street, and the Rebbe was coming to 770, and the Rebbe stopped it with his foot. That's what she says. I don't remember the story.
The mom stopped the ball.
Okay, so 706. My bed was to Eastern Parkway. So when the Rebbe used to come, we had windows along Eastern Parkway. We also had windows on Brooklyn Avenue. So when the Rebbe used to walk to 770, we could see the Rebbe coming from Brooklyn Avenue and coming down Eastern Parkway. I remember my shviga was once in the house with my aunt, with her sister, Rebbetzin Gorelik. They were in the house. It could be her third sister was also there. Remember, how they were running from the bedroom to the front of the house to see the Rebbe going,
Yeah.
What I do remember is the famous Shabbos Nosse Nunalov, when the Rebbe verbringt. So
Second time.
Yeah, the second. Bechal, after verbringen, I was washed out. So after verbringen, I used to come home. I flick sich herablegen. Pushes auf opruhen sich ein bisschen. So I remember that Shabbos after the verbringen. So I came home and I lie down. After an hour, my window was open. I hear a big tumult. So I opened the window. I say, what's happening? So there was a bocher that says, the Rebbe verbringt. Hab gehabt the Hazen gelaufen 770. I came in the middle. By the time I came, was ich gewinn tiefer mitten verbringen.
So you lived Hemshech of 770, basically.
Location, we must up to English.
Yeah. There's a story. Something happened when your was not well, the brachas on the Rebbe.
Yeah. My shver had jenem machle.
Your shver was Rabbi Cheskel Dern.
Yeah. He once came to New York to Sloan, to be in Sloan over here. He had to be here for Shabbos. There was an apartment. It was in the middle of the winter, and wasn't proper heating in this apartment, and he caught pneumonia. And with the chemo, so his body couldn't fight it. So he fell mamish into a coma.
He's in Manhattan.
What?
He is in Crown Heights? He's in,
No, he was
in Manhattan.
The first time they caught it by him was many years earlier. And that time, so I wasn't even married then, you know. I don't know who went to the Rebbe. His brothers, sisters, maybe Schwer. Und der Rebbe hat am Markt getan, mamisch mit der Hand. And after that, gelebt noch 7 Jahre, whatever. We went...
You weren't married?
No, I wasn't married.
Okay.
This was way before I was married.
Okay.
As a Veklamatevs, whatever.
Okay, fine.
We went over to the Rebbe then. I think I went with a
You said when he was with pneumonia?
Yeah. We went to the Rebbe. Der Rebbe sagt gleich, Arichas Yom schon und Tevis, Mama schon sei. Haben gewusst, als wird rausgekommen von dem. Rausgekrochen. But months later, we went to visit him when he was already stark nicht gesund, but he was home already for a short while. So he went home to visit him when he was home. So he told us then, he told us, that when he was in that coma, he felt like, you have these after-death experience.
Out-of-body experience.
Out of body. You're falling into a dark hole. He said he felt he was falling, a fault. Mittel mal zet a Lichtigkeit and stuff. He saw the Rebbe. I forgot, he said the Rebbe told him, Moscheni acherecha narutza. And he woke up.
Wow.
He told us. That was in Kislev. Later, it was in Nisan. In the beginning of Nisan, he contracted meningitis. And he fell into another coma. The doctor told my Schwieger, als da wird wachsen Haar, wird aufstehen von dem, he'll get out of this coma. So again, we went over to the Rebbe. Again, the Rebbe gave the Zolbe Broche.
Lichas Yamim Shana Tevis.
Yeah. So we went for Pesach to Pittsburgh. I remember we flew from out of Pesach. So ich noch gekrogen Matze. I remember we came to Pittsburgh. So someone had to Prava Seder dort. So Olai is gefallen the Gedel to game Praven dem Seder in the hospital. I remember I brought the Rebbe's matzah. He had machinery, you couldn't. So I figured ich will das weken and besser soll etwas Tropen da reingehen. Pela gave him a breckel matzah from Rebbe's matzah. But was reich was, I came to Prava the second saver. So I told him, hat sich schon aufgehabt von der Koma, verstehst du? Mamisch, nicht zum Gluim. So, I told him, the second night, by me going to Shaila, how was I allowed to bring, I had to carry the matzah and the motor, megen zijn van de eerste tog, van de tweede tog. I asked him, bei mir going to suffer, sicher gemerkt bringende Sachen. So on the spot he tells me, wie gedenkt sich als ein Rebens Hagode, bringt sich a Deja, an der zugreitende Schulchen, Hasede noch bei Tog. This was after a coma, getting up from a coma, versteht. Opel is weg in Ov. His Yortzeit Mamish this week on Thursday.
Of
Tezayin Ov, yeah.
And you went to the Rebbe before then?
Yeah. Yeah, Mamish Chabad Chamishos above, or forgot the day before. I was in New York. Before my Schwieger is given from the Grace Chassidus. She used to write maybe hour on the hour to the Rebbe, every hour another zettel. So she make beten, also so gehen zum Rebbe. I remember I went over, ich habe schon gezittert, weil ich denke, der Rebbe answered, es kann etwas scharf werden für Ksavshin.
To her.
Yeah,
Like what?
like, sie quetscht, whatever. I forgot already what the answer was.
It's too much.
So I figured, ich will zugehen, aber ich habe gezittert. So ich getracht, ich will nehmen einen von meinen kleinen Kindern mit mir. Chefsche, Ulai, weißt du, Mamtag sein, der dienen. Es ist nicht geholfen.
Where was this? This was...
I went after Mincha. I was waiting, the Rebbe going back from Mincha.
And you said something to the
I
Rebbe.
said something to the Rebbe. The Rebbe was very sharp. I don't remember even what was very sharp for him. Aber verstanden gleich auf ein Nord, that it's a show was so.
So no more.
A show was so.
And then he passed away right afterwards.
What?
He passed away right
A
afterwards.
day or two later.
Wow.
But the last answer for the Rebbe was to my shviga was wegen bitochen. I remember we were sitting in the hospital, and the blood pressure was going lower and lower. Mamish, she thanked me, said, Leibel, bitochen jetzt? Was mamish, ik ben verdedigen as
Yeah.
whatever.
Mm-hmm.
No,
You had a...
you want the personal stuff. So.
Yeah, but I have another one. You had a story when your wife was going into labor.
What?
With your wife going into labor.
Yeah, Kinder geboren geworden Shabbos, yeah.
That's what happened.
So she gave birth in my Manaris in Borough Park. So Shabbos morning, it was Shabbos Mevorchem, Chofeel. So, bin ich get ogret Klorwegen angenommen. Aber on the way to Crown Heights, hat sie bei mir auch gelegt. Also ich kenne mit dir sein, dem Rebbe, für Schachris, ist ein Simen, auf geben angenommen kann.
There was such a minig, that if you had a baby on Shabbos, you would tell the Rebbe, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So I thought, but this was my hachlote. So when I came to Eastern Park, the Rebbe was coming down Brooklyn Avenue, already on the way to shul. So I ran to 770. Now what happened was, so Friday night, she went into labor Tuesday or Wednesday, and nothing was happening. So Friday night, was already Friday night. So I told Leibel, Esher came in bet no Rebbe Mabrocha. So Lepel, he went in after Maidav, and at the Monte Nomen my Rebbe Friday night. I came home, and an hour later, so he already went to the hospital. So Shabbos morning, when I told the Rebbe, I got a kind, a maidel, so the Rebbe asked right away if it was a Caesarean or not.
Yeah.
And the Rebbe said...
The Rebbe asked that question?
Yeah.
What was the Lashon the Rebbe used?
I forgot. I have it written down somewhere, I forgot the Lashon. Then the Rebbe said, eben mit sich zusammengeredet wegen einem Nomen. Habe gesagt, ein Stückel Schecker. Ich gesagt, ja. Sie haben gesagt, soll beten, geben Halleluja, machen ein bisschen Berg und geben einen Nomen. Whatever.
And what was the name? Chana.
What? Yes, I gave the name Chana. My Balaboster was sure I gave the name that sie had gewollt. So Pale, weißt du, whoever gave the name Chana später in the brief.
Shlita.
Yeah.
So you got a letter like that?
Yeah.
If you did after the Rebbe's mishpacha, you got...
What?
If you named after the Rebbe's Beis Harav, you got Shlita or Shlita, yeah, the Rebbe would add.
Whatever. I got that, yeah.
Uh-huh. Okay, so I just want to ask you, in the last few decades, you've also been very involved in Afatzos HaMayonis, Heicha Menachem and the Chassidus Fueres.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get to that?
Well, it started from Chassidus on the telephone. In Tovshem Mem Gimel, after Meise Vechte mit Meise Penikorf.
Yeah.
So then, that's when it's geworden, the Hamzor, to make Chassidus on the telephone.
Saying people, we can't go teach them, so we have to make it a telephone.
You can't go there face to face. So with a telephone.
Hotline.
What?
Hotline.
Oh yeah, whatever.
718-735-7333.
Yeah, so there was a vad, to take care of it. Rabbi Yale, the letter to the Rebbe, Rabbi Yale signed it, Rabbi Weinberg, and Chaim Borch. Yeah, the Rebbe spoke about my upbringing. So Lupel, somehow I became involved in managing the thing.
The project.
What?
The project.
The whole project, yeah. The Rebbe wrote, "Hatochtnes b'chlolusei tev, b'proti is tzorach liyas mumche shezmani poni lokach."
It's a good idea, but you need a mumche.
You need a mumche shezmani poni lokach. The Metzius was, there was no one person who's mani poni lokach on top of it. So it started Mem Gimel, Mem Dalid, but after 3 years, it mamish fizzled out. There was no money for the telephones. There were 100 lines, 100 telephone lines, and had to pay people to run it, whatever. There was no money. So I took it over.
You had time.
I did what I could. But I found, gewoon schaffen Geld. Is a neue.
This is before Gimel Tammuz.
This is Memvov.
Memvov. So you started to fundraise. No.
Started to fundraise.
Okay.
So first I found someone who undertook to pay the telephone bills. I thought the 100 lines, I forgot how much it was a month. I divided it to a million Yidden, and divided and asked each one to give a centel from the Cholpochers dos. Remember, I needed $12,000 then, I think.
A year?
No, to pay the chayv. There was a chayv of $12,000. 6,000 was for the telephone company. Another 6,000 was for the other hate source. Reb Yale had geschaffen $6,000. Forgot his name. A younger man. I can't remember his name.
Anash, someone from Anash.
Yeah. Nicht from the Spitz Chabad, but the real lesson to give money, he gave money. So Chassidus on the telephone was rejuvenated. At that time, it worked on a tape recorder. Tape recorders. You put in a tape. Chaim Borch had a system where the tape recorders were able to connect to the telephone lines. But then it came, I forgot which year it was. Singerman Mesha Kugel. You know Mesha Kugel?
Eastern Parkway.
What?
From Eastern Parkway.
Yeah. Then he lived on Montgomery Street. So we used to go to the country together. So one summer he tells me, Leibel, nowadays you can make this whole thing computerized. I said, good. He says, so he wrote a program. This is ready Tofshanun Beis, Tofshanun Gimel. A computerized program where you can he wrote it, and we had to buy hardware and software. Then the thing then to make was about a $36,000 project.
I won't tell you how much it costs today.
I'll give you an example.
Today, a telephone line doesn't cost anything.
I'll tell you what the hardware cost. That time we wanted to put in all of the real shiurim on ganz Tanya. So you needed a hard drive that, I forgot how many megabytes you need, how many gigabytes. You needed 4 gigabytes. A hard drive with 4 gigabytes cost $8,000 then. That was I remember at a 4 gigabytes, we had to get a hard drive with 4 gigabytes, $8,000 we had to pay for it. Today you buy a gigabyte of...
For nothing, yeah. Although it's going up now, by the way.
It's going back up, Al Capone, but Yossel Gutnick gave a big sum of money.
For that.
And so we had the computerized system. So from Chassidus on the telephone, which was made especially for der Chutze, was man nicht gehen zu sehen. So from that is ausgewachsen Hechel Menachem.
In Borough Park.
Mm-hmm.
And now there's other sniffim. It became a whole model, Hechel Menachem.
Mm-hmm.
And that's also why he started doing Chassidus Muvares.
Mm-hmm.
What was the idea of Chassidus Muvares?
Nicht jeder, das ist alles Seichel. Nicht jeder kann reinkommen zum Shir. The person can sit in his house and learn Chassidus und verstehen etwas.
So Chassidus Muvares is basically having someone teach you Likkutei Sichos.
What?
It's having someone teach you Likkutei Sichos.
Poshut. You shouldn't have to walk into the center to hear the shir. You can sit at home and learn Chassidus.
Yeah.
There's the Yingalai to help me lechatchil with Hechel Menachem. So they came up with this concept.
And that's the same thing with the Tanya that they made
once
also.
after my Morim, so then we went into Tanya. After we finished if we went into my Morim, so there was a demand to make on Tanya the same style.
And the Chassidus Muvares has become a major tool of Afatzas Mayanus.
Yes.
But also for Afatzas Mayanus for ourselves too. Saying Anash use it also.
It wasn't meant for it. But
I had a mashpia that taught us in like Mesifta, already then Chassidus Muvares came out, some of them. He told us officially it's for chutzah, but I'm telling you it's for you guys too. Like you could benefit from it also.
The side benefits.
Yeah. Okay, so Yasha Keach Gadol, so haben the Keach Mamshech sein.
Ich sag's Rabbi Bote Chabad, I always have there's a famous marshal in Sidrim Dach. The Rebbe brings it in Yid Half Nissen, no? The Maim from Yid Half Nissen, no? Bei Yem Asher
Yeah,
Yosef.
Mimashasta.
Als der Melech macht a große Sude, bei einem Tisch sitzen der Sori HaMelech, da wurden geschuven. Noch von, da wurden Bechussen, die Shlichus'n, was sie nehmen von den Schreien von der Sude. Bald stakag, die Schreien von der Sude, haben noch Gewalt. Dann sagt er durch die Beine, was man warf von der Kloven. Sie haben nicht an von der Sude. Aber das ist, der Melech macht der Sude, dass die Kloven soll haben Beine. Sagt wir machen Bote Chabad, so man kann sein jüngste Jüdischkeit. Dann noch von die alle Megushomim, was vor einer Vacation und alle Erte. Oh, there's a Chabad house, I have where to eat, ich habe ein Mikve, ich habe wo zu davenen. Sie meinen, dass der Chabad house ist gemacht geworden für sie. Das sagt auch, dass die Kloven was nehmen, das Sommes von der Chabad house.
So that's the same thing with that Nash using the Chassidus Muvares?
Ich sage nicht, ich mache das. Jeder soll sein, was will. I don't put any labels anyway.
Okay. Yasha Keach Gadol. Tzlach and Abba.
Was da der Kavone Pnimis geht durch.